What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 37 of the Pylon Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Before I even get going with the show, I apologize. I'm all sweaty. I just ran here from Norgret's mom's house. No, I'm just kidding. The two of us had a wonderful conversation. She's a very nice lady.
My mom's in the other room. I didn't even hear you.
Said hi. I'm a light stepper, my friend. Anyways, that was incredibly unprofessional. We've been on 4 dates. Okay. I should tell the whole story. It's not just like that. Anyways, I'm also just got back from the gym. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We've got an all-star cast of people here. They put up with my trolling. And by the way, before you jump to Ogret's defense, he still hasn't eaten a shoe, so he deserves a little bit of ribbing
with my mom,
and probably some shoe leather. Your mom deserves nothing but a wonderful time. She's to be treated with respect. Don't forget that. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in. We're joined this week by Mr. No Regret, the man, the myth, the legend, the ladder terror on North America right now. He's in Canada. Are you under 4 feet of snow? What's going on? Are you alive? You okay over there?
There's a couple feet out here, yeah. It's fine, though.
You're okay?
Yeah.
Are you of social status in your family where they send you out to shovel it, even though you're... Who shovels?
We have a plow, so we can just plow it. We don't need to shovel.
Okay, well, I was going to say no more sex jokes, but then you had to do that, so thank you. Anyways, try to straighten out the show a little bit later. Cat's always wonderful to have you on. Thank you for coming in, friend. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man.
And how is the snow in Southern California? Are you hanging in there?
There's an hour and a half away or something. There's snow, so yeah. I might go snowboarding at some point, but it's
getting closer. You think?
Yeah, a little bit.
Everyone in we have a lot of, I'm sure this is a terrible time for Europeans, but for those of you that aren't in the United States, which is probably very few of you, or a lot of you listening, the United States is experiencing a cold snap right now. So parts of the country, and we count Canada as part of our country, it's just like, it's one of the big states that we get in 2023 or something like that. But there's just snow everywhere. In my hometown, Seattle, it's got snow. I'm sure where Dan's family is, it's got snow. But in California, you've never heard a more ridiculous thing than California's bitching about it dropping to 50 degrees Fahrenheit or like 45. And they're just like, I don't know what we're supposed to do. This is insane.
Oh my God.
It's really weird in California. But as always, I want to welcome my co-host and good friend here, Mr. Artosis. Dan, how are you?
Very good, Jeff. Thank you for asking. Happy to have a regular Pylon show this week. Yeah. We have so much to talk about.
We have so much to talk about. We're going to call this part 2 of the artificial intelligence discussion. It's going to be I'm just kidding. There'll be a lot to talk about that. But before I turn it over to Dan, of course, I want to give you guys a little bit of a roadmap as to what to expect with this episode. As Dan said, it's a regular episode, so we got some fun stuff to talk about in terms of just kind of the comings and goings. GSL has started. Broodwar had a patch. We're going to talk about the map pool. No Regret is a coach of a lot of the foreigners that are really training really hard in Korea. And then Katz is just one of the better minds in all of StarCraft. Of course, we got the Pizza Bi-Weekly showcase at the beginning of the show. We're not going to talk about Katowice, but we'll tell you, and we'll talk a little bit more about later, about how we're going to have basically a whole episode talking about Katowice leading up into it. Well, I mean, not a whole episode, but, it's going to be a big thing there. And then I think, what else were we going to talk about? Is that about it?
Well, the GSL kind of region locking thing that occurred. Definitely wanted to mention that a little bit of a Codes preview as well. We've only done one group so far, but we're going to be railing through it the whole round of 32 before Katowice as well. So, there's a lot of StarCraft 2 stuff, GSL centric to talk about, I think.
So we'll meander through it, but this is going to be the StarCraft centric one, and then of course we'll finish with questions. Before we get in this week in StarCraft, though, I want to give a special shout out and thank you to our sponsors and everyone that makes this show possible. First and foremost, he checks to see which one. Yes, Cobra's got the right one. You can go to Matcherino and you can support the show by just simply typing in words. And Cobra, every week. Oh, well, Dan, you're going to be so happy about this. Today is not a themed day one. Just type in WCS Hype. One word, you guys. WCS Hype. As today, we had WCS 2019 announced. We'll talk about that too, by the way. I kind of didn't mention that, but we'll go through that whole thing as well. Yeah. All you have to do is type that in. It builds to the prize pool. I think it's $1 per entry for all of you. It's not a real dollar from you, but it's a real dollar to us. So please take the time to go to Matcherino. That link right there is in the show notes. It'll probably be typed in the chat. There it is. And you help us out. But if you're like, Jeff, I'm too lazy to type into Matcherino, can I have you consider going to Patreon or Patreon and being one of the 361 people that support this show, which, by the way, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. But supporting the show allows us to pay ourselves better, pay our guests, build the show, make it into something that we can do more things with, etc., etc. So if this is something you really like and support, and it's a part of perhaps what you enjoy, and you have the ability to, please consider supporting it. If you're too poor, don't want to, or you're just not about that, do not worry. The fact that you're listening to me and us talk about this stuff is still contributing. We really appreciate that. So thank you. And then, of course, last but not least, AFKT. This is a StarCraft guy, Mr. Lycan's tea company. It's good stuff. And when you buy from them, you buy from us. And you feed yourself a healthy tea, which is better than black tar heroin or something.
Probably. It's better than a lot of things.
Yeah, it's better than a lot of things. So thank you, guys. That's it. That's a good picture. That's the sellout period. So go ahead, Cobra. Tell us about this week in StarCraft.
Cobra.
Not Cobra. Dan.
No, go ahead,
wouldn't that be a surprise? I'm like, actually, Dan, you're not doing
it. Turns into a 3-hour segment. Okay, let's talk about this week in StarCraft. We have kind of a couple weeks to catch up on because we did have a weird show last week with the AI. We didn't get to go over it. But anyways, let's jump into it. First up, Banshee Tournament drama. The winner of the Banshee Tournament this past week was actually some guy that was smurfing and has attempted to do this in the past. Kind of really sad. I'm not sure exactly who this guy is, but he should stop doing that. This is really pathetic and sad.
What's that? There's like movies about this growing up. Like obviously Mrs. Doubtfire comes to mind, but then there's like, what was that song? Bend It Like Beckham, but that was a girl pretending to be a guy.
But Mulan.
That's true.
So the point is, those are all okay because it's a cartoon.
And they put in more effort too, you know.
They put in more effort. That's a big part of it as well. Yeah.
Well,
if you show up to a land,
okay, she's pretending to be a man to go to war for her country.
Yeah, that's
okay, This is a noble thing. Yeah. This guy is just trying to steal money from a tournament.
Jessica,
well, it is a noble thing, but in her time, this wasn't a noble thing, right? This was widely unacceptable. So.
But I do foresee a future where, like, kind of like Ender's Game, we end up fighting battles through video games. You can do it then, but not when it's just a bunch of girls trying to have their own tournament. Then it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Okay.
So kind of sad, kind of pathetic. Also in the news here for the Banshee tournament, Tilia, who has won basically all the Banshee tournaments, are very close to that, has announced her retirement on Team Liquid and everything, and apparently will be co-casting the next one with Zombie Grub. So you can check that out over on Zombie Grub's Twitch channel. All right, up next, the Warty TV Arena. Can't spend too much time on that drama. We got other drama to get into.
Do we?
We do, a little bit at least. But we will get to that when we get to that. The Warty TV Arena is funded. Check out his Patreon page as well, of course. You can see the standings here. I mean, a lot of stuff going on over on Warty TV. All right, Base Trade TV Ting Open Season 5. It looks like Zest ended up winning at the end of the day. Kelliger having a pretty good performance there, getting into 3rd place. Bunch of Terrans up there at the top. All right. A little bit weird.
Even being Protoss, how'd they manage to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was undoable.
They should share that with the Muslim for sure. Yeah.
The NA Apprentice Tournament. This is a tournament for players that have never made it to the round of 32 in a 2018 WCS event. If you're Dragon and Tempo casted it, looks like Estrella was the winner at the end of the day. You can check that out on, well, I'm actually not sure where. You can check the show notes. You can end up finding it yourself. All right, the Ladder Heroes. Looks like Neeb is winning in NA and EU overall. Neeb and Puck in NA, Neeb and Showtime in EU, and that is, you can check that out. That's
my
Dragons
God.
Little Ladder Tournament.
Top of the ladder on both NA and EU.
What a guy.
This guy's ready to take on Cyril.
Yeah, maybe.
It's
That could be an exciting thing to see this year. Well, check that out over at ladderhero.es. All right, the Alpha X or Psi X Alpha Pro show. I'm not doing a good job this week. I'm sorry. This is what happens when there's a couple weeks where I don't do this in a row.
It's hard.
I don't worry. I have no travel or anything coming up. I'm going to get back in the groove of this. Anyways, Psi X Alpha Pro show match series is continuing onwards. We have big names like Sue and TY playing. We even had Starkiller, the pizza winner, going in quite a bit, cast by Swagheart and Falcon Paladin. They have a Patreon. Check it out if you're interested in those show matches. They are always best of 9s, so definitely get to see who's the better player there. All right, the Cyber Gamer LPL StarCraft 2 Season 1 has been going on. Looks like Demi won the first one. A lot of good players from that kind of Oceania region playing in that. You can check that out over at twitch.tv/cybergamer. The ProBots 2019 Season 1. We've been talking so much about this.
Wait. If we can go up to the Saxy up there in that bracket, he's our newest writer, and he wrote like 3 awesome pieces recently. So shout out to him because he's also playing in that tournament.
Yeah, he took out Nemesis.
Yeah.
Well,
Nemesis.
did lose the eventual winner, Demi, but who didn't?
Yeah.
Demi did.
Who didn't? Yeah.
Who did?
Yeah.
Shout out to Saxy.
Yeah. Cheers, Saxy. All right. So the ProBots tournament, if you're interested in the bots, we definitely talked a little bit about them last week on the Pylon Show, and definitely check out ES Champ. These guys are really kind of your go-to channel for anything and everything AI related. That's ES Champ on Twitch. Okay, the Olima League Winter Grand Finals, guys, close your eyes. Who do you think got second place?
Starkiller. Jim Rising.
No.
Sue?
Terrible. Sue, there you go. Yeah, second place. Anytime I ask who you guys think got second place, the answer is Sue.
Jim Rising.
Sue lost to Innovation in the grand finals there. Looks like a fantastic tournament. Really interesting to see Fantasy continuing to kill it. This guy is doing so well in these online matches.
God, he beats us too. Poor guy is having a tough time against Terran.
I know. Isn't that wild? It's like not just in group stage, but also, in the third place match. All right. So the Olima League also is back in its regular form. Number 145 has already occurred, and we had TY beating another Protoss player, Hero, in the finals there.
Jesus Christ.
3-0.
We just have a moment of silence for all our Protoss players struggling to get these wins here right now against the Terran oppressors. You know what? Hang on. One quick aside, by the way, Dan. I know you'll appreciate this. Mm-hmm. Someone on Reddit made my favorite argument. So DeMuslim's been bitching a lot, and a lot of Terrans have been bitching about TVP right now. Someone said something along the lines of, well, the Protoss players are just simply better. I mean, look at Showtime. A couple of these guys, they're just a higher caliber. And I'll tell you what, as a Protoss player since 1998, Dan in particular over here, okay? Over there. Right down there, right here. Mm-hmm. And other Terran players have been making the argument that Terran players have been dominating StarCraft for 20 years, just better players than everybody else. It just warmed my heart. And DeMuslim's reaction was exactly what I want, where he's like, honestly, I can't believe he's saying that. It's rubbish. I'm just like, oh. Anyways, go ahead. It's just beautiful.
Well, Jeff, to be fair, if you look at StarCraft 1, I mean, there's a lot of ways to measure it. And overall, the top of the world has a lot of Terran representation because they are such strong players.
They're so.
Oh, come on! It can't be.
250 APM Protosses. You want to argue with me that they're more in your flag?
But why are you chucking it to APM? Like Terran might require more APM. It doesn't mean that they're better.
Listen, Bisu sitting there over 300, my friend, multitasking everywhere. Now that's a fucking player right there. All right.
Wow.
Come talk to me about these 200 APM Protosses that can beat Pro Terrans.
He won like 2 championships in his whole career too. He's pretty sick.
Bisu? It's one more than that. Come on.
It's like 3 or 4, probably.
That's a lot, Jeff. It's quite a bit. All right. So, Olima League continuing forward. Maynard will be casting it in English for you guys, and definitely check them out on Patreon. It is along with the Pylon Show, the best thing that you can support on Patreon, because for like $2, you get all the replays, and the replay packs are just out of control. They're the best replay packs that you can get. All right, the Sea Duckling Open is continuing. This is for bronze through diamond players. Melty, a big community guy,
wow,
ended up winning the last one. So congratulations. He's actually out in Korea right now.
Oh, is he?
With him.
Is that his picture right there?
Oh, he
That
beat
is a picture
Nemesis,
of him.
avenged Saxy. What a guy.
He beat Saxy as well?
No, he beat Nemesis.
Yeah.
Oh,
The guy that-
But
the
he
guy
dropped,
lost
he dropped a
Saxy.
map to
Oh,
Nemesis,
you're
unlike
right, yeah.
Saxy. Saxy
yeah.
would have just...
So Saxy would have won this game.
Probably.
Saxy would have demied this tournament for sure.
While writing an article the whole way through, too.
Yeah. My travel through the Sea Duckling Open. All right. SC2 Blazing Series Season 1.
These names,
That's
by the
a
way.
great name. Yeah. It looks like it is a Chinese tournament. So pretty cool. It's going to, or, well, a Taiwan
Does it look like a
tournament.
Chinese tournament?
Well, I see Chinese characters there. And I see Chinese players there as well as.
Do you see Chinese players?
Taiwanese players. Yeah, I do.
Couple snuck
There's
in
some
there.
Pylon players too.
Yeah. But anyways, it is on the Africa TV Taiwanese channel, so you can check that out. Quite a few good Korean players there as well. Looks like February 11th, 18th, March 4th, and 18th as well will be the groups A through D, and it'll all be over at the beginning of April 8th. All right, the Team Liquid Map Contest 12. It looks like Wardy is going to be arranging the tournament in cooperation with Blizzard. It's going to be from the 11th through 17th of February. And it looks like the first two players that are going to be the guinea pigs are going to be Sort of and MC. So that'll be pretty fun to watch. Definitely check that out, and you'll get a preview of maps to come. The Clash Casters Invitational has finished up. Huh?
Can we just take a minute to appreciate how weird of a saying the guinea pigs is? Because you know what that's a reference to? Like testing chemical products on an animal.
Yeah. Well, some of these maps feel like chemical products when you play them for the first time.
I know, it's just it's a little weird. You know, it's like someday down the road we'll have like terms like and who's gonna be our horse inseminator? It is Kevin. You know, anyways. Maybe it's weird to me. Go ahead.
All right. Onwards. The Clash Casters Invitational. Indy ended up winning it. Isn't Indy the guy who eliminated you, Jeff?
Yep. He stomped me.
Yeah. Damn. You could have gotten second in this tournament.
No.
I was unlucky.
He's great. It was cool because we had him on the show, and this is I think the week you were gone, Dan, but he was I love this. He was nervous. He was preparing. He had offline practice. It's just so fun to see these guys take it so serious, and we know Kevin took it real serious. So it's every opportunity I want to give a big tip of the hat to the Clash organization. They're also running their public tournament right now. Roddy was casting that earlier. Mm-hmm. And then Todd for putting it on as well. Although Todd, there's like two Todds, right? So there was the Todd that was stressed and kind of burdened for the first one. And I kind of suspect single Todd. Then there was the Todd in the second Clash tournament. Totally chill. Every problem that came his way. We had him on the show. He was talking with Dan. Dan threw some silliness at him. He's like, no, totally fine with it. We're like, Jim Rising, he's not a commentator. He's a player. He's like, nah, man. He's a player. It's going to be fine. Pretty sick.
Yeah.
Todd handled it really great.
Todd did a great job. And, definitely always exciting. And I know that all the casters really like that. And hope Todd does more of that in the future.
Why did Jim Rising not play in it? Like the finals? Do we know?
What I was told is he had a dream the night before that his plane was going to go down. So he could not get on his plane.
Really?
Which... fair enough. That's really scary. And Dan and I were talking about this, and I'll be the one to publicly say it so I can get in trouble. I think you cannot call yourself a commentator if you're afraid to get on an airplane. That's kind of like saying you're an Olympic swimmer, but you hate water. Like, well, can you?
He had a dream, though. You have to understand he's Mexican, and this is not a racist thing, but rather, it's a more superstitious country and such.
Cats can say that because he's Peruvian, which is
exactly,
one of the states of Mexico, as I understand it.
Oh my God.
Essentially.
And to throw it out there, since Jim Rising didn't go, Yogo actually replaced him,
and then
so that's
Roddy.
2 caster invitationals in a row that Yogo got second place in.
He did get second. He did get second. Yeah, you're right.
That's 2 in a row that he eliminated Roddy in the round of 4. So there you go. Look at that.
This one's the most ridiculous, by the way. I gotta say, Roddy, I guess, was all of course, he gave his reasoning. He was saying he didn't practice the maps at all because he was commentating something before that. I think
the Deep Mine thing. He went straight from London to Italy for it.
Oh, he was with you. That's why he lost. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. I was telling him all the strats to use. I guess it didn't work out. All right. So congrats to Indy for winning that, and thanks to Todd and Clash for putting it on. The Clash Community Series that Jeff just mentioned being casted by Roddy. He's doing lots of events. They're going to be going on each and every week, except during IEM Katowice. And of course, that will be on Clash_StarCraft 2. What a creative name for a Twitch channel. All right. The Corporate Esports Association Season 1 is taking place. This is basically the after-hours gaming thing where if you are in a company with a bunch of people who play, you can enter this. So check it out at cea.gg. The Pizza Pie Bi-Weekly.
Finally!
Finally, we get to the real news. Now listen to this. Okay, Starkiller still sitting pretty comfortable at 20 pizzas, no doubt. But future of Terran, perhaps future
Son of a bitch.
Pizza.
Nipping at his
He
heels.
has won his 7th. He's won his 7th.
I mean, at this pace, he's well on his way to obesity, but perhaps more importantly, he could pass up Starkiller, and then I don't know what we talk about anymore.
Well, listen, Jeff, we have 13 weeks times 2, 26 weeks, because it's bi-weekly now. We have 6 months before he has a chance to do that. That's if he wins every single one. And with Starkiller out there, don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, fair enough.
So if you're interested in winning some pizza or playing for some pizza,
I don't see Starkiller here though on this list. Oh yeah, there he is. He
lost a practice.
Cats, watch yourself here, mate. Okay, this is Pizza Bi-Weekly. He's in there. Okay, he's in there somewhere.
Yeah. He's
right when you're not expecting him. That's exactly when he snatches the pizza right from underneath you. When am I going to see Noah getting cats in this bracket? By the way.
Oof.
Maybe I'll play next one just for fun.
Maybe I'll play next one just for fun.
I hope I meet you in the finals. Free win, free pizza.
Yeah, like last time.
Guys,
it'll certainly be the weirdest and stupidest EVZ I've seen in a long time, if that's the case, probably.
Yeah.
We played a couple best of threes on Steps of War.
But they only deliver pizzas.
It was for money. He gave me 2-to-1 odds, right? He's like, GSL, like you're 5,300 or some shit.
I mean, I took a lot of games off of you.
I mean, that's fine. But the rule is we pick any map. So I pick Steps of War, fucking crush him. And then
whoa.
Why would you?
How many games did I win? I lost like one set.
Yeah, we played.
I won like 2 or 3 sets, but because it was 2-to-1, I fucking
want to think that you won 2 or 3 sets. I don't know how long.
Right, how much money do you owe me altogether?
That was like from donations.
No, also from betting.
Cats, you can tell him any number because this guy doesn't pay up his own debts, like eating shoes. So just say like $500, whatever. Just don't have to pay him.
Well, that day we played 2 best of 3s. I won 1 and you won 1. But the one I won 2-0.
Ooh.
Yeah. We were playing on Steps of War though.
2-1.
Yeah,
so that could have gone either way.
Was I in Korea? I was in Korea, right?
Sure. Yeah, you were in Korea.
I was in Korea. Okay.
So you have a better training and practice environment. I'm confused.
You got to remember with the pings, in CVC.
Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, onwards.
The Corporate Esports Association Season 1. We missed one.
Huh?
Yeah, we missed one.
Actually, hang on. This is a pretty note here. We are separately going to have a dedicated channel in our Discord to people like the CEA here, where they have their own Discord channel that they want to promote. We're going to have a Discord channel dedicated to all of the Discord people and communities in StarCraft, and if people would submit those to me on Twitter or Discord or wherever they want, we're going to create a channel in our PylonShow official Discord where people can find other communities in the StarCraft scene.
There you go.
Cool.
Like StarCraft, want to find people? Talk to Cobra on Twitter. His Twitter handle is SurferDude776969. Oh, Rotterdam08. Yeah, that's his other one. Sorry.
All right. So onwards. Icefar Challenge is back with Pig. This week, it's all your bases belong to us. It's for base trades, of course. You can send those into eonblue95@gmail.com, and Pig might go over your replays. Dank Shrines, Who the Hell Is This? Episode number 5, hosted by Duddles, is going to go and interview Aoret, who we have talked about a lot in the past. He makes a lot of good content for StarCraft and has been gaining some popularity recently, so check that out. The Africa World Invitational number 31 has occurred, and the young up-and-comer from Croatia, Goblin, ended up beating Sol in the finals. So see, Protoss does beat Terran. And that's great. Cast by Laughing Games and Falcon Paladin.
Hang on.
And Namchar as well. That's a great result for Goblin.
This is my contribution, okay? This is what I do. If you look at the 4 pictures, if one person was using a filter, who would you pick?
Sol, 100%.
That's it. That's my whole material. I'm not going to make fun of him.
There we go. It's done. All right. Root Gaming. Cats.
Oof.
Did you recruit?
Did you say
Legend of the StarCraft scene?
We got MC, dude. We're so excited.
That's
Jack also, by the way. Jack is also in Root Gaming.
Scroll down there. Root sent no regret to talk with him.
Yeah, there's a really good interview.
Oh, really?
I did one of those like YouTube videos we do on him.
Wow.
It's, signature series style stuff. If you guys want to see it.
Yeah, and it was only like 15 days late, so it was actually really.
I mean, he thinks that I can travel the fuck all the way over there, get an interview with him, travel all the way the fuck back, and fucking edit it all in less than 15 days with working on his schedule. No,
less than 15 days. How long do you think it takes to do that?
You know how long
it took him? He said, I need at least 1 day to go there and get the footage. I'm like, okay, that sounds like 1 day.
I told him that it was going to take a lot longer than like 5 or 6 days. And he's like, nah, it'll take like 2. And I'm like, I don't think so.
That
and then,
moment when you then hit your boss on ladder and get into a betting match on Steps of War and shit while you're supposed to be editing a video with MC.
It got done, okay. And it's good.
It looks nice.
I'm wondering if No Regret is still going to be on route by the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Jack is the best. He's regional manager. He's the only person.
Regional manager. I have an assistant.
He's the only person that has an assistant.
Manager?
Yeah, assistant to the regional manager.
I like how Saxy is getting all these shout outs and No Regrets just getting shit on, man.
Hang on.
No, Jack is the best. Jack is the best.
Who filmed this though? Like actually the camera.
Matt.
It's really good. It's actually these shots are good.
He does a lot of this stuff. I have to huge shout out for him. He's a really, really good guy, and he's really amazing at
Matt who? Like what's his handle or name or whatever?
Well, he doesn't. I don't think he has a handle, but he's just Matt Holman.
Oh, geez. You guys keep it pretty low, don't you?
Well, he's good. Hopefully, he gets a good job someday.
Yeah, these are good shots. Actually, really quality.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Looks like quite a nice video. Congratulations to Root for getting MC already back in the GSL. So very exciting to see such a legend return. All right, onwards. So that picture is amazing.
Can someone please put Cat's face and Jake's
branch manager assistant branch manager?
Oh, Jake has an assistant. I don't know.
Someone Photoshop that and send it to PylonShow or Cobra, and we'll put it on the stream. I promise you. But that's it right there. Don't make the branch a shoe though, because Jake doesn't put those in his mouth. God.
Oh, we memeing today, boys. Okay, onwards. We have some stuff about the DeepMind stuff. Skip over that a little bit. There has been a book about how DeepMind's artificial intelligence revolutionized chess. That's kind of interesting. I'm going to buy that and read that, but it kind of gives us insight to what might end up happening with StarCraft 2, so kind of cool. We have this week in Brood War, there's a student StarCraft AI tournament. 72 bots were in the 2018-19 tournament, and yeah, we've talked quite a bit about that in the past. Twitch.tv/SSCAIT if you want to check that out. The Bombastic Star League Season 6, kind of the big foreigner tournament in StarCraft 1, casted by Zero and Rapid. It looks like the latter stage ended about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, something like that. The top 20 players are in the Pro League now, and the brackets are starting. It looks like we've gotten through mostly Group A, B, and C. And, of course, that'll continue forward. You can check that out on Zero's Twitch channel. That's 3Z's EROPL. Bombastic Star League 6 Nation Wars. They took kind of the best countries from the BSL and made the teams, and it's exactly the countries that you would expect if you are kind of involved in StarCraft 1. Peru, Chile, Russia, and Poland. And it looks like Poland ended up winning at the end of the day pretty convincingly. All right.
I'm not sure how Brood War survived so much and so long in Peru, like of all countries. I guess our computers aren't that great, but It's crazy. It's like I don't know any of these guys.
What's going on, cats?
I know Goes to the Ark, and I don't know like I know Terror, but the other ones I don't know. They they joined at some point after, right?
Wait, is that the same Ghost of the Dark is the one that plays StarCraft too?
Oh, he used to play.
Yeah. He's BM too, man. I fucking every time.
Oh, really?
Oh, he has been. It's funny too because when I play StarCraft Remastered and these guys BM me, it's from like 15 years ago. They still hate me. It's so funny. I hit Ghost of Dark. I'm like, hey. He's like, hi. He's like, you're still a cheesy piece of shit. And I'm like, bro, we're like 30 years old now. What's going on? Oh my god, he's funny.
Yeah, the Peru likes its RTS games actually. Like I heard that like two of the best non-Chinese, non-Korean Warcraft 3 players are actually Peru.
Oh, really? Oh, that's impressive.
What? Like right now, you mean?
Yeah, like right now. There's some really high-end Warcraft 3 pros from Peru. So.
Oh, that's cool. I'll look into that.
Yeah, no, Peru's got shit together. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing the good games. All right, they have at you bi-weekly. Cast by Shamtu and Nyokin. Number 27 had ZJD, I believe that's Soma, defeating Zealot 3-1 in the finals, and number 28 had YSC defeating Eon Zerg 3-0 in the finals. Looks like the Koreans continue to come in and win all of the Have At You money. Thank you to Shamtu for putting that on. You can check out more about that by following him on Twitter or checking out his Discord. Right. Brood War Battle Dome. What is this? I actually didn't see this one. By Proxy Tempest on Twitch. All right. Survive 3 rounds and get a cash prize. So it looks like they're just hosting some round robin King of the Hill type stuff. It looks like GSL Group A preview by Team Revolution. Group A already finished up, but you can check out Team Revolution's stuff. I know.
Trust.
No. Spoiler alert, he didn't make it through Group A. All right.
Damn it, Dan.
Yes. This week in Awesome. How to cast StarCraft. Pig Roundtable with Maynard, Zombie Grub, and Fear Dragon.
That's cool.
Talking about casters' rituals on Pig's Twitch stream, ways they prepare, losing your voice at IM, answering questions, and more for over 2 hours. And so you can check that out over on the YouTube of Pig, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. All right, time for some clips. Everyone shut up. We're going to watch some clips.
Okay.
Something about watching
Stalkers back over the flight. Phoenix come in for a bit of a lift up. Second Orb Prism on the front line in case he loses the first. Oh my god, does that continue the war bids? Oh, that is so sick. We're barely 2 games into the day. Sure calls his Stalkers back over the fight. Phoenix come in for a bit of a lift up. Second Orb.
That was impressive.
That was cool. I haven't seen that before.
The question is, do you think he did it intentionally, or do you think it just happened to, happen?
It was just
I mean,
there.
he was probably trying to do it as fast as he could, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think he was attempting to save the Zealots warping in, or do you think it was just like?
So
I think you have to try. So
is when Showtime had his robo queued up, he was like, "I'm going to lose the first warp prism."
Like when you see the opening, you have to try. You travel in a line and you do it as fast as possible, right? And if you can do it, you do it.
Yeah, sure.
You're reminding me. There was someone who used to always do that. They'd make 2 prisms because they always lost the first one. I can't remember who, but it was like 2 years ago. We talked about it in GSL. It was a GSL player.
Yeah, prisms are good.
I believe we have a second clip too.
Yep.
Or do we not? Okay.
If you thought that was crazy, check this one out.
Basically, young man. Guys, is this a good game? Oh, shit, that was so gross. I loved everything about that team.
I gotta say,
guys,
I don't know if this is like an unpopular opinion or something, but like I think Rifkin's casting really made this clip. Like he yelled really loud and then went crazy on
That's
this.
Subtle shade.
Subtle
Unpopular
shade, yeah.
opinion, he says. Jeez Louise.
Somewhat, right?
It's
like
okay
people like to hate on
Rifkin, okay?
Yeah. But people like to hate.
Yeah.
I don't think the act of what happened was actually like that amazing. So
but the moment,
this is gonna be a great Pylon show. I can already feel it.
We're
a bunch. It's like 4 contrarians
unpopular
here.
opinion here, by the way.
Yeah. Is it not? I'm sorry. Yeah. I liked the Rifkin's casting. Is what I'm saying.
He has a good hype voice. Absolutely. I think he's at his best when it's like an energetic, good moment like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
That's why I think he does well with a analytical co-commentator, like Zombie Grub or some of these other ones. I think he commentates really well with that.
I enjoy his banter as well. I always enjoyed Zombie Grub Rifkin.
Can I just say though, and he's usually in the chat, so hopefully he's here to hear this. My favorite commentary though is hour 9 of Wardy, when Wardy is just sick of shit and he's been solo casting for 9 hours, and he's a European, so usually I wake up and tune in, and it's hour 9 of Wardy, and he's just like, Warp Prison making its way over here. Okay, someone in the chat just said, Wardy, why aren't you talking about the game? Listen, fuck off, all right? You fuck right off. I don't want your shit. Get up. You're fucking gone. Anyways, both Immortals are in the base. They seem to be doing damage. Wardy, I just subbed to you. You can't ban me. Watch it, mate. Watch me fucking ban you right now. That's my fucking favorite. I'm sitting there and I'm just like, yes! This is what I want! Oh, I love it. Ugh.
Wardy's fantastic.
If he's in the chat, he knows it's true too.
That's a great impersonation.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I watch a lot of Wardy 9th Hour. It's my favorite. I have to let it ripe. Like when Wardy first starts streaming, he's all cheerful and happy and has faith in humanity. I'm like, no, this is stupid. I don't want to tune in. But I set a clock. I'll be right back.
Need a feature that tells you like when it hits a certain point.
Fully fermented Wardy stream. That's what I want. Go ahead, Dan. Sorry, you're going fast. Right. I'm making this slow. It's my fault. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So our next little subject this week in Awesome. Tonight, GSL Code S Group B. Guess what? 2 more NST awards coming out. That is pretty sick. The 9th and 10th players to accomplish the feat, Classic and Losira. And if I'm not mistaken, we have a potential of 5 more players getting NST awards by the end of the year.
Wow.
So it's kind of showing the long-term stability. We don't have a lot of rotation of talent within the Korean scene, but it's also cool that we have like such crazy long stories for some of these guys. So definitely check that out tonight, and I'm sure that we'll be giving them the award at the beginning of the show. All right. I believe from here, we are going to, I think that's it for this week in StarCraft, or wait a minute, it says year 0. That's like we're going over maps. Oh, it shows
that's the topics
we have some big monster. But yes, okay. I think it's time for real topics.
That's Amon, my man.
Real topics, wow.
Oh, no,
damn.
This game a little bit, right? Oh my god, I haven't finished the single player. Why are you telling me that?
Oh, I thought I actually said something to get me in trouble. I was like, oh no, what did I do?
The stalker again. So that
yeah, you said that's Amon. I didn't even know if Amon was real. Where I am in the single player, they're talking about whether or not he's even real. Now I know he's real.
He's real. Want me to blow your mind? That could be Kerrigan as well. Okay, Dan, or Matt, I think we're good on the clip. Okay, good.
What about Kerrigan?
I don't know if you guys could hear that. I couldn't hear anything else. So first topic, I believe, is the maps. Is that what we're going to dive into, or what is this?
I believe we are going to talk about maps first, and then we can jump into WCS.
Is that right, Matt? So you got there, bud?
Or are we going in? Maps makes logically sense, but
right now he's scrolling, so I'm not sure what's happening. Matt might have...
On to the real news now.
Yeah, we're on the real news. We're out of the...
yes, we're out of this week in StarCraft.
Okay,
but also this week in StarCraft, the new season.
Yeah. Okay, so first topic is going to be the maps. We got a new map pool.
Yes.
I don't think there's, no introduction necessary. I'm just going to turn over to our resident StarCraft experts, StarCraft 2 experts. Ask you guys your general feelings on the maps. And as we do this, of course, we can go map by map. Let's just do map by map, and at the end, we'll give your general feelings. So Matt prepared these wonderful graphics, so I should probably not throw it into chaos. Cyber Forest,
I think we're doing Cyber Forest. Yeah.
Yep. So
guys, first, what do you think about Cyber Forest so far?
What do you guys think about Cyber Forest?
I think it has a really big main, so probably pretty good for Nidus. I've heard Nidus are pretty good. So if you're a Zerg player, go Nidus.
Yeah, I think actually, that's a balanced topic, but yeah, Nidus is obviously going to be really strong on this map.
You could sneak a little balance in there. I don't care. Are you saying Nidus is overpowered?
Nidus is overpowered. It's
some people,
really
yes, yeah. It seems like people are really feeling the Nidus.
It's like, yeah, I play like
people. Cass, you're not a Nidus guy. It's weird enough.
I'm not a Nidus guy right now. No, because everyone's doing the Nidus.
Everyone else is doing it, so Cass can't. Is that what's happening?
I can't do that. Yeah, it's blocked.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna get nerfed 100%. I think.
You think so?
I almost shooting 100%.
Is it really?
Well, what?
I mean, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Almost shooting?
Okay, it was a joke. God, just chill. Okay, the real issue with the Nidus is not necessarily even the HP, but the fact that that it unloads like 1,000,000 units immediately, as well as having high HP, means like you can unload all your queens instantly and transfuse your Nidus all the way up.
And it's free.
Yeah, it's too strong.
Is it too good though? Because I find Nidus play more fun. Like, are we seeing it out of 10 games against Terran and Protoss? How often do you see it?
I don't think we see it that often, but when it's used, it feels really hard to counter
every time.
Yeah, I feel like once we get to a point where more people are using it, it'll be more and more used.
It seems to
start snowballing.
It seems to be strong enough that it shuts down certain techs as well. Like in CVC, it's obvious because it's same units. So when you go Mutas, for example, if they go Nidus Roach, I have no idea how you could possibly stop.
You still kill the Nidus with Banelings though?
Maybe like, if you went Banelings too.
5 or 4 we already had this issue before because Nidus were literally invincible before. But we just had a 4 Bane detonator. The Nidus finished.
But I guess if you.
But the real problem with the other matches can't DPS it down quick enough.
Well, I find if it is the other nerfed, races it has to be very subtle though, right? Because it's like it either doesn't get used or it gets used too much. I don't know that there's ever been a super awesome time for the Nidus, and I wish there was because it's such a fun mechanic.
Right.
Yeah, maybe the next tournament will be.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I guess it has to develop more. Just currently for me, it feels like it's too strong. But I think it honestly has more to do with the rate at which you can unload than the HP itself. Because you can just unload the army instantly. It's so strong, the unload.
So just slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, with the current HP and armor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't mind asides like that, but Cyber Forest, you guys like this map? Pretty good. How are the cannon rushes on this? Big topic right now. Are you guys... I mean, I guess against Zerg, it's not as big of a deal. In PvP, it's quite common on that map.
If it's common on PvP, I'd assume it's common in ZVP as well on this map, no?
Well, you know what assumptions make, right, Jake? Like, I assumed you were going to eat a shoe after you said you would, you know what I mean? And then...
What does that mean?
Exactly.
What does the assumption make?
Well, I mean, yeah, cannon rush is always common. The point is, like, there's different cannon rushes in PvP than there are in ZVP.
Well, I mean, the point was, like, usually you cannon rush the natural, right? In PvP? So, like, if you can find a good...
No, you don't cannon rush the natural.
Cannon rush the main in PvP?
Yeah. Well, from the low ground to start, and then you move up.
You can
that's what I mean.
One.
The natural.
Some of these maps...
If you're cannon rushing the main, you're gonna lose. That's really bad. If anybody here is cannon rushing the main, you can just pull probes and kill the pylons on the high ground.
I'm pretty sure that's the cannon rushing what Artosis do, right?
One of these maps is very good for cannon rushers, like a lot of places.
Yeah, I'm just saying in the main, there's enough reaction time. You can kill the pylons really quickly.
Oh yeah. Well, fuck. Thank you, Jake. I'm so glad we had No Regret on the show. Guys, hang on. Let me call up all the Protoss, but guys, it's just react faster. And
I don't think anybody here thinks that in base.
Jake, hang on. Now, when you said react faster, how faster do you mean? Is it 6?
Instantly, dog.
React faster by 6, and cannon rush is solved. Shit. Okay, well, how about those Zerg players? Why don't...
Well, they can't do it because it's at the natural. It's at the natural. That's the point.
React faster.
You can't react faster because by the time you react, it's already far enough that the
react even faster than that. Then
you pull the drones before the pylons are built.
Yes, this is a good show. Sorry, guys.
Okay, you just have to know. You just have to know. Your first drone should be sent to the Protoss base to check it out. So, Cyber Forest.
Big name. Yeah, I haven't been abused on it yet. I don't feel anything is too strong, and it seems like a pretty good rush distance. Decently easy to take the 3rd and 4th base. Nothing like super broken. I feel like
you guys generally agree? I was saying this the other day. It feels like they've really hit their stride with map pools. Remember when we used to have shitty map pools? I think we haven't had one in like a year and a half or 2, right? It's been pretty.
We have a little bit odd maps, but yeah, nothing like what we used to have. Yeah.
The map pools have been good though. I thought.
Yeah.
We used to have map pools where you'd veto like 3 and you'd want like 3 more vetoes because they were just so bad. But now I feel like I can veto everything with 2 or 1 veto.
It's been good. It's made for good games. I don't know that we have a whole lot to say about it because it feels like this is a pretty standard map though, right? Outside of maybe a couple of weird things. It's like the smaller size or medium, I think, but it feels like they did enough to bunch up the middle that it's not, it's not ultra fast rushes, right? Or kind of stupid that way like we've had in the past. It feels like it's a well-timed map.
Yeah, there's lots of chokes in the middle too, which kind of slow down a lot of pushes. But there's enough chokes in the 3rd and 4th base area that you can surround armies. I feel like the map is really comfortable.
Yeah,
I haven't been.
It's a good balance too. That the 3rd's not invincible because anytime the 3rd is too good, I feel like it instantly becomes a Protoss map. but it's also not too bad, which sometimes when a map does that, it becomes an anti-Protoss map. This map strikes a good balance based off the third, in my opinion.
I agree.
I think the way that the map is interesting, like you guys said, definitely the middle has some interesting chokes and stuff. But yeah, the big main, like, I mean, I feel like this is probably might be my most played map this season. It doesn't feel like anyone's vetoing it. I'm getting it a lot.
No, yeah.
And yeah, like you said, the third base is not that hard to defend, but having such a big main, it becomes like very easy to attack into there as an alternate source. So I like Cyberforce. It's cool and it looks good too. A lot of the maps just look good nowadays.
And it's kind of funny because it was the first thing Kat said, and we talked a little bit about it. But it is, I don't know, maybe it's not interesting to you guys, but the fact that it's a big main does make it unique. Like it's we had a lot of maps where the main base was not very big. Which is not the biggest of deals, but it does change the dynamic, right? Like you can hide a pylon over there. People are floating factories. You can put a Nidus.
Yeah.
And then drop play is just a little bit more common. You can drop 4 Hellions in there a little bit better. So if you don't space out your stuff and play smart with your building placement, that kind of stuff can happen. Whereas a lot of maps, the main base is so small that you don't even have to think about it because you already see your whole main base. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I like the bottom. They're cool.
The bottom right feels bigger than the top left to me. I think that's just a thing. I've talked with Roddy about this. How I was just going to
say Roddy. You must have talked to fucking Roddy.
Well, I didn't talk to him about this, but I've talked to him about this type of thing. And
I know.
It's something I explored in Brood War where, like, if you're at the top of the map and you're, like, your flow is towards the bottom, everything always feels better.
That is one of, like, I love Kevin, but that's actually, when he eventually does descend into madness and actually is, like, certifiably crazy, it's gonna be based off of his pet theory, which he's had for 5 years. And he'll get a map and I'm watching the stream and he'll be like, please be top left, please top. Good, top left. That's the bigger main base. And I'll be like, it's almost certainly pixel for pixel exactly the same size. Does anyone want to? But his chat is so loving and supportive that nobody says. And also, Kevin has this like aura of anything he says is probably right. Like when he skips Warp Gate in his build 19 minutes into a game, and he's like, "Well, I need it to be able to afford what I'm doing," and I'm like, "No, you don't."
I think we need Noni for the intervention on that. He would tear that apart pretty well.
All right, next map. Let's do the next one here.
Yes, next map. Year 0.
Year 0 is a very interesting map. I think the rush distance is insane. Like it's so far and weird. Yeah. It seems like also the airspace and I haven't seen it abused yet, but at least not against me. The airspace between the mains is really weird. The giant monster is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good macro map, I guess. You know, just do your thing.
I have a insane win rate on it. I don't know if that means anything, but
that must mean it's not that big a macro map as I thought.
I don't know. I have a 91%.
Cats and I rushed to the first shade. We're like, it means cheese is strong here. No, it is. What I think this map is a little bit harder for Terran in particular to push across all that, and the airspace is weird, just because Amon blocks the middle, so you have to. The tower shows you. You can't fly by without the tower seeing that, so it's a very meaningful tower, which is actually kind of funny because a lot of maps got away from meaningful towers. Like I think they thought it was maybe, and I don't know this, but a lot. I feel like they thought it was too powerful of a mechanic, but I'm okay with it on this map.
Yeah.
No, you're quite right. That is why they've, as far as I understand, why they've gone away from as many towers, because it's a win more thing. Because once you have map control, you are in control, and if you can see everything your opponent's trying to do, it's hard for them to come back.
I find counterattacks on this map are really easy to do usually too, especially like later on. Like with the map being the way it's structured, you see the top 4 left bases and top right 4 bases. The bottom bases and the bottom half of the map is quite open a lot of the time for run bys until like really late game.
Yeah. This is one of the 2 maps in the pool this season where I find like the entire game, I'm not playing StarCraft 2, I'm playing Where the Fuck is His Army, because it just appears somewhere. There's like there's so many paths and so many weird ways that you can walk. And I'll say it when we get to the other one, but there's like, I think it's the desert one or something where I'm just like, I think I have everything covered, then an army's at my third. I'm like, what?
Oh, I think that's actually the other map that has a really high win rate for me too. So like, I guess
okay, everything's starting to make sense now.
The attack path maps, like where I can do counterattacks and stuff, like those maps are really, really good for me. So
I like the use of rocks both in this map and Cyberforce, like we were talking about. Like it's not the biggest map in the world, but it's made bigger by the rocks, and then a diligent player will obviously remove the rocks and it shrinks the map more and changes the dynamic.
It opens
Dustin Browder working on his mobile RTS somewhere out there is super. He's got to be so proud because this has to be the vision of rocks. This is good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you break them and they're not game breaking, but they change the complexion of the match. It's nice.
If you play Terran and take the third base that's left or right of your main, and then like knock down the rocks, you have like a pretty decent attack path into your opponent if you're playing ZVT specifically.
Very quick.
I like the use of the rocks a lot.
Yeah, and they're not abusable. Like we've had problems with rocks in the past where you siege tanks behind them, but here they're far enough that a siege line wouldn't be that powerful.
Now, if you're Roddy, which side of this map do you think is the stronger side?
I think top right feels
the top right more
left
powerful.
Side.
You can feel it.
It might be.
Yeah, we'll have to ask
top
Roddy.
left side.
Because if you're always attacking towards the left, your eyes are already closer to the mini map. So that's helpful.
I just did a test. I feel like I'm more comfortable. I feel like I'm more comfortable moving my mouse from left to right than I am from right to left.
I'm more comfortable with that as well, but I think that mini map awareness.
You have space. So. Try it. Move your mouse from left to right and from right to left. Do it.
I do it every day.
What? It's the same? Do it right now and tell me it's the same. The same amount of effort.
Guys, I can't even.
Left to right is better, Jeff.
Right to left. Yeah,
I feel the same. I feel the same.
Left to right. Left to right is better.
Do you know what chat experience you're creating right now?
Also,
I feel like right to left is fine.
I want to say another thing, right? Because I do believe that, like, for instance, like a top left main is generally very good. When you drag select units, Jeffrey and Control Robinson, when you drag select units, are you drag selecting from top left to bottom right?
I don't even fucking know. I just do it. I don't know.
Then try it.
I can do both.
Do it right now. Pretend you're playing StarCraft.
I
can do both. Like actually
for production, but I'll put it.
Just pretend you're doing it. Go like this. Go like this.
Shout out to Pig, because at some point Pig made it so that he trained himself to box from all angles, basically, to mitigate this problem.
Yeah, I can do that too. I don't think that's a problem.
Thank you, Jake.
You can't. You box from every angle. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. There's no way you do that.
Like, send me 20 replays right now. Send me 20 replays, and I will find probably 90% at least.
I don't know why you guys are mind blown.
The same
you don't box from every angle. There's no way, Jake.
You use two hotkeys, and one is at your opponent's natural. Like, those two camera hotkeys. Like, what? Come on, man.
Well, first.
Oh my god.
Okay, well, I mean, whatever.
That water
you guys can think that's amazing or what, but like I don't understand why it's so mind-blowing to you guys.
I need this dynamic on our show more often. It's got to be Todd and Dan, or it's got to be Cats and Jake.
Yeah.
I think it might maybe it's something to do with like the fact that you played Brood War and like your ramps only faced one direction or some shit from the floor, but like I've learned from all different locations, all different spawn locations from the very beginning in StarCraft 2. Like 4 different map spawns or 4 different army like locations and shit. I don't know what I'm saying. Like,
I think that if I grab like a bunch of your replays, most of your boxing would be one.
Everyone's
like, why box like when you can just F2 anyways?
But you have a default that you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I think
and something that's more comfortable.
Do all of them.
He is not the only GSL player.
Some things are more comfortable.
Artosis qualified twice.
No, only
pay your respects. He qualified once.
So Jake's a little bit
I qualified twice. Yeah,
he's a Hearthstone world champion.
That's right. Dan's a world champion at Hearthstone.
That's true.
So,
okay. So
now based on boxing, probably, and mouse movement,
also
top left might be the best main, but I'm saying top right might be because then you're looking at the mini map more.
Top right, your reactor's in the wall, and you just lose the game.
Yeah, as a Terran player, that's true. That's true. Okay.
I am so sad that you brought this up. There's so many people that you are ruining their lives by making them think about this. All right, next map. Mr. Cobra Venom, please. We have King's Cove. Is this the desert one, Dan? Did you get confused by the sand?
I think this is the one he's talking about.
I don't know the names of these fucking maps yet. Hold on.
Yeah, this is my favorite tile set.
I do like that he thought it was a desert, though.
Oh, this is not a desert at all.
No, maybe it's Kairos that I'm talking about or something. Anyways.
Yeah, because there's usually no water on the desert usually.
Anyways,
very rarely is a desert surrounded by water.
Well, when you think about it, the Earth's surface is mostly water, so all deserts are
well done, Dan. I'll give you the point for that one, my friend. You definitely got that.
No problem. Yeah. King's Cove.
This map also has a lot of attack paths.
It sure
I don't
does.
disagree with you, and normally that would be a point, and I don't think you're saying this in a point of criticism. There's some elegance to it that it doesn't feel terrible, right? Like, you have options. You can back up to a place where there's a pseudo choke. But what I like about the maps, and I think what's a really nice balance that they struck, is that it then doesn't flip the balance on its head and be like, well, now you have to come through a choke because of what you just said. There's other attack paths, so you can go there.
Yeah.
And I kind of think, and this is like Captain Obvious speaking, because these maps play and don't hamstring your playstyle, I think Cyril's going to be better on this map pool. Like, actually even better. Because he is the best at coming in from appropriate angles and always like having good engagements. And this map does not force you into a bad engagement. These maps, excuse me, they all have counterattack options. They all have circle options. They all have good engagement spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. They're very nuanced maps, but they're not like broken.
Yeah.
On this particular map, there's a few times that I've run my units into a wall that I didn't know was a wall. You know, I thought I was escaping, and then there's the rocks, stuff like that. So they're kind of, this one in particular is a little bit hard to get used to.
Up the ramp thing there
in the
middle.
Yeah, like I think I'm running away to my base, and then I'm like, oh, I guess I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that those rocks are super cool, because I've definitely had that exact same thing happen, but like they make it a little, I feel like you're very robust in the early game here because you get 3 bases really, really easily with the ramps. And then with those rocks in the way, you have to be very careful with where you're attacking. So you kind of have to break them down. I don't know. I really like King's Cove.
The third is really far away though, so there's that element too.
But that's
I've
good.
I've able to find a lot of thirds on this map. I feel like
good because both the natural and third have a ramp. And then what I think is really good about this map is that very often, if a fourth is too close to your natural and third, it instantly becomes a turtle map, or it becomes really hard for Zerg in some cases. But in this one, the fourth is so exposed, but also the distance between the natural and third means that your attacker isn't like, they don't get boxed out and you're mega on 4 or 5 bases easily, right? Like, you have attack paths. These map makers are really, I'm in love. It's great.
They're getting really good.
They are
really good.
And it's a beautiful map, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Which is funny because sometimes if the map's too pretty or too cluttered, it can slow down a lot of computers, or it can get kind of distracting. Like, I don't think other people, I don't know how many people had this other issue, but Stasis, what was it called? Stasis in the last map pool or whatever? I couldn't play on it because my eyes just couldn't adjust to that tile set, which is too bad because it was beautiful. But for me, I just had a tough time there. None of these maps do I have a tough time.
Oh, there was one, I want to say there was one map in the last map pool that had rain. And it triggered me so much. I don't know why. Oh, wow. Like, I didn't notice it at all.
That off in your options.
Oh, can you? Okay, that would be great.
Yeah, there's
I didn't notice it all. And as soon as I noticed it, I could never unsee it. And it bothered me every single game afterwards.
Interesting. You couldn't unsee it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's in the options, though, that you can turn off, like, environmental effects. 99%.
Okay, I'll definitely turn that off.
Definitely check that out.
Well, we can do the next map, but I'm loving this so far, and it's fine. But we're all just like, this map's beautiful. I love it. Next one. This is a great map.
The map pool is just really good. Like, and definitely like you said, there's been previous map pools where I look at, I'm like, why did they have this map? I don't have any maps vetoed this season. This might be the first season I didn't veto anything.
Well, before we move on, though, we have a scientific tool here that we should probably show off because this is important for our boy Roddy here. So if you kind of look at the Roddy ruler here, you can definitely see that the right side of the map is a little bit wider.
Okay, so let's look. Oh my God, look at that.
It's a little bit wider.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Checkmate, map makers. You fucked up, and Roddy knew about it the whole time.
He knew it. He knew it. He doesn't need to measure things. He feels them.
It's in his eyes. That was just Roddy vision right there is what we saw, to be sure.
Yeah. This is how he looks at everything. Him and Flash. But Flash carries a ruler. Roddy doesn't need to.
No. All right.
Oh, one other thing I want to say is before the map pools, I felt like when we got to a point where we felt a map was really good or really balanced, we saw like a lot of maps similar or if not the same as that map.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And all these other maps, I feel like they're doing a great thing with balance where it's a little bit different, but it's not crazy. And all the maps feel different, but at the same time comfortable.
Fair enough.
Definitely agree. It's my favorite map pool I think ever, truthfully.
Yeah. It's way up there.
Just really digging it. That's definitely way up there.
I like Steps of War. Whatever map pool it had Metalopolis, I think, too, right? Steps of War and Metalopolis.
Metalopolis was the greatest map of all time, I think.
Oh my god.
Metalopolis.
Because you both took the gold as your natural, probably, and fucking it was impossible to beat that.
I don't know if you guys, Metalopolis was like the widest natural in the world. It was like insanely wide.
Well, nothing next to Xel'Naga Caverns, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
Xel'Naga Caverns had an extra dimension. Okay,
I liked Xel'Naga Caverns.
Yeah, Xel'Naga Caverns was also great. Can we go back to that? Like those are good times for maps.
No. Well, listen, thank God there's no Dream Pool anymore. Okay, that was the true first map.
Dream Pool was the greatest map pool of all time.
Yeah,
I remember I got rank 1 very easily during Dream Pool. So. Just cheesing everybody.
The subtle brags from you today have been pretty strong. Is it because of cats? Is there a raise coming up or something like that?
Well, no, I'm just asserting dominance.
Yeah. Oh.
I have an assistant after all, you know.
Yeah.
I need to put him in his place sometimes.
Gotta let him have some, you know. Like I thought about a couple, you know, Dream Pool. Yeah. Yeah, Jake, that sounds about right. That you got number 1 in your Dream Pool.
Got him.
Yeah. All right. Next map. New Repugnancy.
The name is the only thing I have a problem with this map. Isn't Repugnancy, and I have not Googled it, but isn't that like to not like something, basically? It's like
repugnant.
That's interesting.
It's okay, because I asked Tasis on air, I'm like, what the hell is what's Repugnancy?
It's
because
like disgusting, right?
I didn't get to repugnant. I was like looking, I'm like, well, I know that like pugnacious means warlike, so maybe it's like warlike again. Like, what are we talking about here? What is it? And then he's like, no, it's like repugnant. Oh my!
I was just thinking of pugs and pregnancy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a place to take it. This is the Cannon Rush map.
I don't know what to say.
I got Turkey Dan in the chat. Is that right, Turkey Dano? This is the Cannon Rush map? I never know him by name. I just start seeing bright red.
Oh yeah, there's a 2-pylon cannon rush spot on this map I found by the ramp. It's disgusting.
I think I saw E-Mini like outlined. Maybe it was this map where there was like a ton of different spots for cannon rush.
Turkey,
I can't recall.
Let's get your comments on this. Jake says, as a Protoss player for high ground cannon rushes, just simply react faster and you block them 100%.
What I said was,
hold on. Printf is here.
Or cannon rushes in the main are shit, is what I said.
You know what we should do is a cannon rush episode. That would trigger everyone. That'd be so cool.
We should actually. Let's do it.
I've
been wanting to talk to Turkey Dano for a long time about this.
Yeah. And Fear Dragon, and just talk about cannon rushes for like 3 hours.
Yeah. I want it. Let's set up a really quality episode about that. And like, I hope the ladder gets so infected that all the Zergs log off.
But then we can have Jake on and he'll just like, you know what? We'll have Jake on and he'll argue against them about how cannon rushes don't work.
Just move quicker.
He's like, well, I built my pool first thing, so why does it work? I don't understand.
Yeah. That's a good point. That is a good point.
That's not the point, okay? I don't know. Does anybody here think cannon rushes in the main are good?
Say it without smiling.
Does anybody think
that? Say it without smiling to sell the point.
I think that's what they do in PvP and PvT, right?
No? No.
Okay.
It's all ramps.
Listen,
the ramp is in the main, right?
No, like the bottom of the ramp. You start the cannon rush.
Sure.
Nobody starts the cannon rush at the top of the ramp. That's where the buildings are that you're cannon rushing.
But it's like your second building would go up the ramp, right?
Well, then you can't. No, because you know what? Never mind, cats. I don't know what you're saying.
Guys, we'll have a whole episode on this. Don't worry.
Your second building is a cannon that goes next to a pylon. I don't know what you mean.
It's okay.
You build a pylon on low ground, and then what you do? You don't build a cannon. You just build a pylon on the high ground.
No,
you can your second build,
and then the second building that you make
after the cannon rush.
After the pylon.
That's a cannon. You can't build a pylon up the high ground.
But then you make a cannon up the high ground when you're building a cannon on the low ground, right? Something like that.
That's a third building.
You make some wall off for your cannon in the high ground or something.
I don't know.
You're trying to get to the high ground, however you can, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the plan.
Is that I'm so confused. I don't know what he's talking about. You need to build pylons or buildings.
I thought you were GM.
Like the idea of the cannon rush is you have to like cannon rush your opponent, right? So like, you want to move towards their shit. I don't care how you start it, but it goes to the main, right? Like that's the.
Yeah, that's after. I'm not saying you don't do that. You start with the can rush on the low ground. You can.
I don't know. Maybe you start in the high ground if you see an opening. I don't know.
No, because then they just.
We need printf. Is the Jack? We need printf here.
We will.
This printf. Do you disagree? If printf disagrees, I'll concede my argument completely because I know
Brent's saying 5 out of 5 for that map. It is the can rush map.
There you go.
Yeah, we will have him on, but Dan and I are going to let you guys argue as much as you want because this is just gold. It's gold, Jerry. Anyways,
do you guys like New Repugnancy? Cannon Rushes aside.
I mean, that's the thing. Even outside of Cannon Rushes, this is another good map. The expansion placement, the rocks in the middle once again changed. They're like meaningful rocks. I don't know. I don't know why all these map makers at the exact same time got this like mechanic correct. There's a lot of expansion, which is fun too for hidden bases, which I think is a missing element in a lot of these map pools from StarCraft 2. It's a very strong Terran strategy. It's a very strong Protoss strategy, and obviously Zerg can use as well. They just don't tend to, but it's something that's been kind of missing because all the bases are like kind of linear to your opponent, so you just like accidentally scout them all. These maps have a lot of peripheral expansion, so if you're not being intelligent, you can actually miss out on it.
Yeah, I think it's the
one thing about this map.
Go on.
Some of these maps haven't been giving like the Protosses the free reign of like not having to deal with the Reaper. Like there's a couple of maps where the natural, if you wall it off, you just don't have to deal with Reapers at all. But this map and some of the other maps have jump spots and drop spots for that matter for overlord drops and stuff. Even though we don't really see it, I like it, so I enjoy that a lot.
Agreed, and that's a thing that can come back too. By the way, I think like a lot of maps were made, I think, to intentionally nerf Reapers. I think we can roll that back because for a while they were very strong, but now it feels like. Don't you think Zerg's can adjust to that too?
You can make Reapers as strong as you want at this point.
Do you guys agree?
Yeah, they're not very powerful.
They can make Reapers stronger.
Yeah, they definitely were trying to nerf Reapers a lot.
Yeah, I think the maps is a good way to go about it. Just having more Reaper openings, like make them useful scout tools.
So you guys think they could have more maps like this where there's better access for Reapers?
Yes,
for sure. Yeah, I think there are already, but they could even go further.
Okay. Cool. Next map, I believe.
You know what I never want to see though? When they have those fucking mid-tier like jump spots where you can put like Marines and stuff, like you can drop in them. And then you can attack them from either side because it's in the middle. Like, no, I don't want to see that anymore. Like, nobody likes that. It's so obnoxious.
Well, I think that's fine if for example, for Zerg, the creep is close enough to that spot that the queens can go, right? But if the spot is like too far enough, then it's kind of shitty. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
I just think it's obnoxious either way. But yeah, I know what you're saying. If you can pull your queens to it, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
So the next one's a 2 versus 2 map, I believe. Which I will say, I've been playing some 2 versus 2s with my brother, and it's been really, really fun. The map, and I'll just say this to the our chat and stuff, but like it's actually a decent map pool for 2 versus 2s as well. I don't know how far you'd have to go back, but it used to be the problem was you never saw the maps getting updated. The map pool for 2 versus 2 and multi games was like pretty bad. Like it's just bad maps. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. We like all the maps; they're pretty fun. I think the worst part about 2 versus 2 is that you have a lot of shitty hackers. Not even a lot, but like if you're towards masters and that, you're going to hit these guys that are just really unpleasant. They're there.
My only problem with 2v2 is on certain maps where you can't defend your ally, and if they're Zerg or whatever, they can just get destroyed by like 2 people attacking them at once. But it's kind of
this map
2v2 works.
Yeah, this seems to strike a good point of that.
Lend people to getting exactly what I was going to say. Yeah. Is it like you're close enough to actually save your ally if they're getting double teamed?
Yeah, but it's not like a shared ramp or something either.
Right.
I don't disagree with you, Jake. What I think is fun, and it's obviously not made for top tier competition. I like a map pool in 2 versus 2 that has both. I like maps where you're like, okay, on this one, let's isolate someone and go after him. Because one of the best feelings in 2 versus 2 as well is to be the guy that survives. If you can do that, and then your opponent, like just your teammate shows up with Dark Templar or whatever, and the other guys, because they sold the barn trying to kill you and you held on, then die. If every map was like that, that would be garbage. But also if every map had shared ramps and like Mega Turtle 4 bases, I think that would be pretty lame too.
Agreed. Yeah, this one looks nice, like a middle ground.
This is like a perfect middle ground, I think. where you're close enough you can defend each other, but you each have individual ramps. So
yeah,
I feel like the bottom left area with the two natural expansions and everything, I feel like I see like a stick man there. Like, you know, those.
I do not see
not
that.
the crop circles.
I
but
see it. I
like
see it.
oh,
Yeah,
you know, where
he's,
you, like,
it's
blow
an inflatable,
Yeah.
an inflatable man. The,
arm
I
flailing
see something
inflatable
else
tube
in the
man.
bottom left, and then like, yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah.
I see that.
there's
too.
his head on the arms.
You know what's nice is we're all liking these maps, and I look over at the chat, and they all like the maps too. Everyone's just, I don't know if I've ever seen such a agreeable group, because usually there's the one hipster in the chat who's like, nope, this map sucks, but that hipster's not even speaking up. It's all pretty good.
I'm sure that we could find a European Zerg or Terran that would hate something. All right,
Yeah,
the 3 versus 3 map. You guys playing 3 versus 3?
I have not.
Your brother?
No,
I don't play any 3 either.
Well, Rosebud is a new map. I mean, it looks pretty cool. 3 versus 3 looks too confusing for me. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about 4 versus 4? You playing that with your brother, Jeff?
No.
Same.
All right.
This though, I do. Once you get to 3 versus 3 and 4 versus 4, I agree more so with no regret that you do need shared bases, because it's like, obviously you cannot defend 3 or 4 people piling into you. Like there's nobody can do that unless you're way better than them, in which case that's moot point anyway. So
right,
these look fun.
Yeah,
I like the
this map
base
looks
dynamics.
cool.
If you look at lower left and top right, like if you take the interior expansions and the back ones are behind your mineral line, and that's dangerous. But at the same time, if you're on the high ground, that threatens the other expansions. So I see a lot of fun engagements and fights on these kind of maps. It's cool.
Yeah, what I was thinking is it would have been cool. Like every player has an expansion. At first, I thought there was only 3 expansions. That would be kind of a cool dynamic. If one, you know what I'm saying. So that one player would have to play aggressive. Like would have to take
one player just gets fucked.
Yeah. No. I think yes.
Like
but
everyone just
they
like
would have to adjust,
take a
right? In a team game, they would have to.
Like, fuck me, I guess. You know.
Yeah, but ideally, that person does something accounting for that. He's not gonna have a good economy, like you know.
Like if I spawn next to this fucking gold base, I'm just gonna send a drone immediately. Like just sit it there because nobody's taking.
And just block it.
Yeah, like nobody else is getting it.
That seems like a pretty good political move. And then someone else is like, "I wanted that." And you're like, "Tough. I'm already here."
Tough, yeah.
I do like that it is actually 3 expansions and a gold. So there's like one chosen one.
Yeah.
It's like you get the gold base. All right. Well, cool. I think that wraps up the maps. I think we're all happy with it. It's just very good. Again, I want to give a shout out to all the map makers. I think these are one of the hardest parts too is you release it into the wild, and then like usually instantly someone finds that impossible liberator spot, or you know, wall-ins are impossible, or thirds are problematic. It's of course there's been some of that, but not really. The maps are pretty damn sound. They're different. They use rocks in a similar way, but it feels unique, and they're great. So good job.
Yeah, there's a lot of rules that they have for QA, just like for vetoing, you know, this type of thing. So there's a list that they check, like liberator spots and stuff like that. So it's like at this point, you know, that type of thing is not gonna be very common, I think.
Very well done. And then we have the guest round. Did you guys submit any? No, it's WCS Winter next.
Yeah, WCS
Winter is next. So we had our first weekend of half of the round of 32 for North America and Europe. Starting tomorrow, by the way, is going to be the next 4 days of the round of 32, where I will not be there, but instead the wonderful Zombie Girl will be joining Athanius and Fear Dragon to commentate that. Did you guys get to check that out at all?
I get to watch a little bit of the Europe so far. I mean, it looks fantastic. It just reminds me of the Challenger type format. Everything kind of looks the same as that. I just like having, you know, everyone else gets to watch GSL as their like regular show. And this gives me a regular show that I just turn on in the morning while I'm feeding the kids and everything. And very nice. But you've been commentating
it. Thing.
Yeah, thank you. What's that?
It's like the consistency is really enjoyable for like StarCraft, where you're like, all right, at this time, this day, almost every day, there's like a solid like 4 hours, 5 hours of StarCraft content. It's all really good. I really like the consistency.
What do you guys? So before we get into the games results, I guess getting your guys' opinion on WCS Winter being this format stretched out over a larger period of time. It's mostly online. There'll be a 6-man offline final, but even leading up to that, I didn't know this, and I think this is actually really cool. There's going to be an person round robin to seed the 6-person offline. So to your guys' point, it's a lot of StarCraft. It's actually a couple different methods of StarCraft, right? Like the 8-person round robin is very different from what we've done in the past. It eliminates 2 people, but it even seeds people into that final 6, which is pretty sick. What do you guys generally think about it?
I love it. I think it's great. Yeah, they should do that, you know, milk the.
I think the story, like, there's so much potential for storylines too, where like you have someone coming down from the lower end and just like defeating boss after boss after boss or whatever. Like, I think there's a lot of cool aspects of this format.
I like the amount of games
for
that
storytelling
we're seeing out of
and,
some of these
you know,
players.
the higher seed play less.
Yes. If you take the top 2 in that round of 8, you're like, I think you're in the semifinals or whatever.
But also, look, like there's some players that normally get eliminated really early and you never even get to see them play, but they're really quite good players. And I mean, some of these, like, look at the WCS Americas, right? Like M Cannon gets through that group. That's pretty sick. That's pretty exciting seeing him do well. And I mean, like, for instance, Rex got through his group. That's a player that, like, I mean, we all see Rex's ID pop up, but never get to really see his games. I don't know. I like that because normally, you know, even at the WCS events where everyone will go, you basically skip rounds 1 and 2, the group stages, right? So you don't get to see a lot of these players that, and I think a lot of people probably go, I just want to watch the best players. It's like, you can't fucking tell the difference, guys in the chat. Come on.
Oh man, that's an age-old argument.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if you have 2 players that are like evenly matched, that's a fun StarCraft game to watch a lot of the time. I mean, you'll definitely get some games sometimes with lower players where you're like, okay, this is hot garbage. I don't want to watch this. But I don't know. I like this format a lot. It's much more memorable and much cooler than WCS Leipzig or whatever the hell we've had in the winter in the past years. This nice.
And I agree with you, by the way. Like, if you clash like 2 armies in StarCraft and one has like 1 more unit, the army with 1 more unit of the same units is like gonna crush the other army. So like when you see close matches or like matches that don't even look that close, like the level of detail that you would have to pay attention to, like maybe like stats micro put aside type thing, right? Or Beyond's Reaper micro put aside, it's pretty difficult. Like, and these players are very good strategically a lot of the time, very sound. So I agree with you. It's very difficult to tell apart.
Well, I think even lower level competition actually has more interesting aspects to it. For example, like when you're playing Serral against, say, Showtime, you're going to get a pretty standard. Chances are nobody's going to do anything insanely crazy kind of play. But if you see Haas, who is not necessarily, you know, considered one of the best, you see tons of variation in play. Obviously, nothing that's concrete as in, you know, perfect. But that's kind of the point, right? Like in TLO and all these other players that play like their own kind of styles play it really well, but can't break past that like barrier into Serral level.
Yeah, it's a shame though. Yeah.
I think there's actually more interest in it because of that.
Nice. I think a nice thing to report here too is that in that first weekend, the viewership was quite good actually. So on Sunday, there was something around 18,000 people watching.
Wow.
Which for a round of 32, and again, one of the kind of, at this point, it's being a little bit disproven, but one of the fears that people had was if you did do WCS and there weren't Koreans involved, viewership would take a nosedive. People were not interested, but that is so far, especially with 2018 behind us at this point in time, you can kind of say it's patently false. Obviously, it's very exciting and probably better to have Koreans versus non-Koreans. So, you know, the viewership potential for a BlizzCon or Katowice, that kind of stuff, is higher. But as far as like a day-to-day, lots of broadcast, is 18,000 pretty healthy for a round of 32? Yeah. I would say so, and that was a pleasant surprise there as well. So hopefully, of course, like anything else, it ramps up as the because it is exciting to have the lesser known players, but you still do want to see Showtime taking on Serral, even if it is going to be standard. It's like 2 of the absolute best, and hopefully, you know, it's building up towards that.
Yeah, and to Dan's point earlier, like I think the volume of games will play to that too, right? Where you get to see these players that are constantly advancing and showcase their play style and like their secrets and like be more understood as they go by the casters as well, right? Like create expectations and storylines. It's pretty cool.
And we've seen that this type of thing actually helps build up lesser players as well. This is giving them some real stage experience. This is giving them a lot of pressure to train for, but also like letting them get deeper than a normal tournament. And that like helps to build a more thriving and good scene. This is just, I really like WCS Winter. I think there's so many reasons why this is
motivation for them. Yeah.
One crazy thing to look at is like the amount of like places people came from for the NA qualifier. Like there's so many different countries represented. Like it's crazy. We even have Japan represented in WCS NA.
Demi from India, man, gave it. He had a good series too.
We have Hong Kong, we had Taiwan, China, Australia, tons and tons and tons of countries.
Germany, we got Germany in there.
Well,
anytime a bunch of countries are going at it, there's always Germany involved for the most part. But yeah, I think we're all been pretty happy. It was a nice first weekend, and it's going to continue.
This is the feel good Pylon Show episode, by the way. We're just all like, yeah, everything's pretty cool.
I know, we're all just. The prize pool is pretty good as well, by the way. $12,000 for first. I mean, it's just, it's funny. I guess I should have expected this, but there is some people out there, and I wish I had a better grasp of their. Well, let me just put it out to you guys and give you a chance to speak to it. Maybe you don't have anything to say, but there were some people. It is in a sense, a dial back, right? The previous year, WCS Leipzig is something that happened. I'll share my personal opinion later, but for right now, were you guys put off by the fact that WCS Winter was announced to be online and in this format? And then if you were or weren't, with the execution of it now, how do you feel? Do you guys have any differing opinions on this or anything?
I was always pretty happy with the announcement. Like, it's obvious that this is a budget cut compared to a live event.
Right.
But I think it's actually so much better than a live event that I don't care about that aspect of it. Like, obviously, you never want to see a budget cut from your favorite esports game. But yeah, I think that this is just really well planned out. And I hope that this is something that continues in the future, this WCS Winter. In the way that it's going so far. Love it. It's just great.
I wouldn't mind a transition for this because ultimately I think it helps the game the most if there is more content, if there more quality content, right? Like more broadcasted studio work, like more consistent. I think that actually grows the game more than the live event would. So yeah, I don't really care that there's less investment if the game is winning in my eyes.
And I want to give
I think it's a good solution.
Tip of the hat to a lot of the people involved in WCS because I think this is pretty amazing, right? Like in terms of, because I think we can, call a spade a spade. It is absolutely saying, hey, we're not going to spend as much money this year on these big productions. And a lot of times the first effort feels cheap or bad or is not the right direction. I feel like if you're going to do an online big WCS tournament like this, to keep the prize pool and actually increase it, if anything, by the way, for a WCS stop, this is well done. People are liking the Burbank studio stuff. And then to give, I loved that they did Europe and North America line by line like that. Like that seemed to work out really well as well.
Yeah, I think knowing that it was a budget cut for what it is, it's probably absolutely the best thing that could have happened. If they'd said, all right, we're going to lower the prize pool for all the WCS stops, like that would be way worse than what we have now, where we have like a longer format, something where everyone is represented, where we have constant content going out to everybody. It's just potential to grow our viewership and grow the like constant content and supportive players. And I think this is absolutely the best way to implement what they implemented. And I was really happy about the announcement because I knew they were going to do it well, especially with challenger numbers being so high last year. It's like perfect, honestly. Considering we had to have a budget cut, most likely. So, this is probably the best thing they can do.
Well, it's good. Good to hear some. I mean, I guess this is the part where I would remind our chat, if you have differing opinions, make sure and post it in the YouTube or let us know because right now we have 4 panelists that are just all absolutely in love with StarCraft and we all agree everything's pretty good. But that also doesn't surprise me too much because this was done pretty well, right? Like it could have been, hey, it's budget cut, so we're actually not even doing a stop. And I think this pairs nicely. I don't know if it's our next topic.
And I think that all 4 of our perspectives are usually like in favor of what's best for the game rather than maybe if there was a player here, they would find, they'd be like, oh, I'm playing too much or some shit, like.
Yeah. So no, it's not our next topic, but I'm going to put Cobra on the spot. Our next topic should be, as a quick aside from this, to talk about WCS getting announced actually, because I think we go from winter
that's a good
to saying that WCS was announced today, it's late. But it's, I think, also mostly good news. Good job, Cobra. He's already ready to go with this. But today it was announced that we have WCS Winter, and then we have 3 more stops going to Kiev, Ukraine twice, and then Montreal. So without giving my opinion, I want to hear from you guys. When you guys heard this, what were your thoughts?
I wanted one in the US, so I was pretty sad that there wasn't one in the US. Otherwise, seems good. Yeah, StarLadder is a pretty great company to come into the game, and yeah, I think they'll do a good job.
And Jake, I'm going to ask your comments. We have a whole topic later about the region locking thing that was happened, kind of announced alongside this, and you're obviously very close to that subject with the people at the Unity House and whatnot. But in particular, just your thoughts on WCS being announced this year.
I don't know. I think that there was a lot of pressure and a lot of changes in Blizzard. Like they normally take a long time. Don't get me wrong. They normally take a long time, but at least going into 2019, we have some idea. GSL is certainly already underway. Like almost the last 6-7 years, every single qualifier has been between December 20 and December 29. Like every year for 6-7 years. And this was the only year where it was like all the way up to like January 30. So there's clearly issues with like, I don't know if it was budget or if it was partners or what, but there were like, so by the way, I'm speaking without knowledge from Blizzard. So it's not like I'm giving out secrets. I actually have no idea. I just know there was something going on and it was unfortunate. I don't think anybody had planned for it to be late. You know, it's just,
I mean, if you look at the context of things and all the changes inside of Blizzard and like Heroes of the Storm getting undercut, yeah, of course, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty, I think. So it would be, I think, unwise of them to just like be like, yeah, we're good. And then, you know, find out that they're not perhaps. So I think maybe taking the time was wise.
Yeah. And also, did you say StarLadder? They changed partners from DreamHack to StarLadder?
Yeah, there you go.
Looks like DreamHack for one.
DreamHack's Montreal, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's already a pretty big change.
Yeah, and so my opinion on that, like, I mean, going to the same location twice is a little bit weird, but I mean, I think that they can probably do a good job there. This is probably a budget cut type of thing too, to take away 2 stops from DreamHack. My impression is that DreamHack probably costs a fair amount more than StarLadder to work with in this regard. But obviously you can't do all your stops in Europe. That doesn't really make sense. But well, I think it's not.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think StarLadder's a very good production too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
no doubt that they're very good. Yeah, I'm not trying to say that
they did a CS:GO and Dota 2 major, and they've done some other CS:GO events, and I watch those things, and I'll tell you that they do a pretty darn good job.
Yeah, I have no doubt that they're going to do a great job. It's going to be a great event, but yeah, I don't know. I think that it's okay to go to Kiev twice. Is that going to affect
Russians?
I saw some people tweeting, so that's what kind of makes me a bit nervous. It's like, I understand if you want to do it with this company and maybe this saves some money or something. They're an up and coming production studio, and there's some good things about that I do want to mention real quick before getting in the Russian thing. But since 2012 or so, the esports has been turning on its head quite a bit, where everyone wants to be an esport. It's no longer esports company competing against each other to make better products, to get views, to monetize it that way. But esports is mostly publishers paying for esports now. So I feel like to have multiple companies doing the same game, even if publishers are paying them, promotes more competition between them to make good shows so that they can regain contracts, right?
Sure.
Whereas like if you have one company do every single event for the whole year, laziness could set in. I'm not saying that it would or something, but like if you have, like, for instance, there's an IEM StarCraft event, a DreamHack StarCraft event, and 2 StarLadder ones. So I think that spread can make it so that all of them rise. You know what I mean?
I'd almost wish we had a third to like offset it, so we had another stop somewhere else. But yeah, I like that point.
I mean, I think that would be ideal, but they probably like negotiate in packages as well. Like in bulk, it probably makes more sense to like negotiate with one person, with one entity rather than 2.
I think I also want to take the time to kind of state the obvious, I guess, but also color it with a little bit of what I know behind the scenes without getting myself into too much trouble. But this is late. They were in negotiations, and there have been budget cuts kind of across all of Blizzard esports, which is not a popular topic to talk about. It has kind of a macabre, dark feel to it.
Mike is gone.
Mike is gone. Thank you. But what I would say, this announcement is very healthy, and it should be exciting and awesome. And I understand it, but it was a little bit sad when people were like, "Oh, Kiev twice." Guys, I don't know, and I don't have the power, obviously, but I would tell you, it's not without reason to think that in the next few years we don't have a WCS. We don't have 3 or 4 offline big major events where hundreds of thousands of dollars are being awarded to these pro gamers. So it's not to say suck it up and enjoy everything you get, but it's also to say maybe color it a little bit with I was really happy. This is awesome to hear. I'm glad that we're doing Montreal. I'm glad that we are also going to Kiev and trying something new, and it's a new production as far as StarCraft 2 is concerned. Not fully new. They've done some StarCraft 2 stuff, but on this scale, it's one of the bigger ones for them. It's exciting and fun, and it's great. In the prize pool that these pro gamers compete for, that they kind of need to sustain their careers, it's healthy, and it's there as well. So if this is a dial back year, and we got a fantastic WCS winter that's doing great, and we have 3 offline events, and they're doing GSL versus the world in Korea again, that's a pretty fucking good year, and I'm really excited and happy with this.
Yeah,
so
that's a good thing to say, because for certain the budget was cut on StarCraft 2 esports to some degree, but on the surface this looks better than last year in some ways because of WCS winter. I think that's the big thing that kind of offsets it. Yeah, we do a double Kiev stop, but I think WCS winter more than makes up for me personally. I look at just the spread of esports. I'm like, oh, I'm very happy with what I get to watch this year.
Just to touch on that same line, I think it's important that people get behind, not the idea of this is a budget cut, but like what is better for the game, right? Because that's the angle that we're looking at, is like, well, this is actually better for the growth of the game, and we should be looking for like things that are sustainable rather than like trying to find out like what's most like, even like people like talk about fairness or about like this kind of shit, and sometimes it's just like you have to do what's most sustainable so that there's a bigger piece of a pie to spread, right?
Yep.
Or that we can fucking keep the pie. Yeah.
And this gets said, but I want to take this opportunity to say it again. A big part of the reason why it's still healthy and doing well is specifically buying into the war chest. And I'm not about to plug any affiliate or anything like that. I don't care about me in this sense. I'm just saying those of you that are buying the war chest and buying into that and being a part of that are helping sustain this. And it's actually quite literal. And I will say this quite often because it's amazing and it's awesome. Thank you to the community. But please, for 1 second, don't think that that's a huge deal, because if for some reason a war chest gets released and everyone's like, nah, I'm kind of over it, and it doesn't sell out, that will actively impact your next WCS season. And I know this. I'm not just speculating. This is something that I absolutely 100% know, and it was told from the people that make those decisions. So I wish I could tell you that it didn't matter and that Blizzard was just like, fuck it, give them $1 billion. We're just doing esports forever. But that's not the case. It has to be somewhat self-sustaining, and the war chest / compendium model is what they're going with. So thank you to everyone that participates in that. And as long as you have the interest and the desire, please keep supporting it.
Indeed.
We also have amazing growth. I feel like last year was insane for growth. And even this year, like the online circuit getting this many viewers is just insane.
Yeah.
So huge shout out to everyone watching and partaking in our community.
Well, StarCraft is just so good right now.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just the game state is fantastic. The map makers really have their shit together. The balance is good, despite what everyone will tell you about Protoss. It's a good place.
One thing too, Matt wanted me to make a note, and it is exciting news for people that are kind of videophiles, but Kiev will be in 1080p, which I guess is the first time StarCraft 2 has had events in 1080p, or at least at that scale. So it's
cool.
That's good news for a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's WCS 2019. We're excited about it. It's awesome.
So we should jump to GSL and talk about this residency thing, I think.
Cool.
Because that was part of the announcement for this as well. The residency requirements.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Yeah. So what exactly do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about how things get kind of screwed up for the GSL qualifiers, right? So anyways, GSL Code S, we had those qualifiers, as you guys are very aware. But they kind of, at the very last second, dropped this weird rule where if you qualified for GSL Code S, you couldn't play in the Challenger for that season, the WCS Challenger. So we had a marked reduction in non-Koreans playing GSL Code S qualifiers. Only Scarlet made it in, but like, for instance, Special didn't even play.
Yeah, there was a lot of forfeits.
Right. Yeah, so I would like to get your guys' take on this, and
so
just go ahead.
From what I understood, is the last season of GSL 2018 season 3, we had I think 19 or 18 foreigners playing in the qualifiers, which is obviously insane. And they felt that number was too high, but they don't take into account the Taiwanese and Chinese players coming. It's really easy for them. It's like a 2-hour flight, or whatever. They fly over, they play.
It's really cheap.
So I think they were trying to
fly some of those guys over, by the way.
Yeah, Africa
Did
flies
any
over
Chinese or Taiwanese players ever qualify?
No,
not yet.
So they're worried about them.
I think they were worried about the high representation. We had some Koreans complaining on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah.
So they
thought, which is funny because it makes it an easier qualifier for the Koreans, in my opinion, right?
Not necessarily, right? Like if
Cats. Well, if I was a Korean and you're boating over inferior Chinese and Taiwanese players, did you watch Rex versus fucking Gogo
you would still
Joey?
have to play everyone that signs up.
Did you watch
right?
Rex versus Gogo Joey?
I didn't watch, no.
Okay. If you watch Rex versus Gogo Joey and you're sitting in your MC sweatpants and you're like, well, holy shit. I don't want them in my qualifier. I'd rather face a 13-year-old 600 APM monster.
So,
well, you still have to face
on this a little bit more, because the person who made the tweet was Solar. Obviously, Solar does not give a shit if Rex or Gogo Joey or whoever is playing in the qualifier. I think he more wanted WCS to be unlocked. Like that was more of.
That's a good point.
So obviously he doesn't care about the foreigners. He doesn't care about that. It's more to try and unlock NA. I guess it was interpreted, differently.
I think that's a very good point.
Well, he said differently. Like he said, I personally don't care or something like that, right? But I think
the whole point, all the Koreans jumping on the bandwagon was to get an unlocked region for WCS. They don't care about the foreigners playing the qualifier. These foreigners helped them a lot, by the way.
No, I understand that. Like, and the first thing that should be said is like, this thing is born because people are complaining about fairness, right? Which is kind of what I touched on earlier. So it's like, wait, why is it different for the GSL than WCS requirements, right? And then someone tweets, and then Kim Pham answers, and she says something a little bit tone deaf, maybe where she's like, oh no, it's completely fine, something like that, like it's completely fine, right? But obviously there's a disparity in the rules.
There's
because the rules are made to shelter and to grow the foreign scene, right? Like that was, I think, the intent of the rules. And it's something that's like very obvious, but it's not something that people like to say outwardly because it sounds unfair, right? It's like some people even call it like racism and shit like that, right? But in most sports there is local leagues and there is local growth, and we've seen what that has done for the game, right? And this includes Korean players, and this is what people need to understand, is that we need to get on the same page in terms of like what's best for the game. Like if the viewership and interest isn't as much in Korea as it is outside of Korea, then it is important to nurture the non-Korean scene. And when they go to Korea, they actually lift up and help the Korean scene, because foreign viewers are more likely to watch people that speak English and that they can relate to more, right? A more similar culture and so on. And even if that's not you watching in particular, you have to understand that there's enough of a percentage of people that are that person, and therefore it's better for the game. And if the pie grows, then the Koreans also, like the best players in the world, will also get a bigger piece of the pie, right? Like that's
very well said.
That GSL's viewership is primarily foreigners, right?
Right.
Anyways, the point being, GSL being region locked was way harder than they thought it would be. I think originally with the Challenger, they thought, okay, well maybe we'll limit some of the Chinese or Taiwanese players or whoever. But realistically, anyone who has a shot at BlizzCon could potentially be, out of the shot just because they're way behind in Challenger points. I don't know how much I think they accumulate over 3 seasons, though. Like it's a lot of points to be missing. If you're someone like Special, who plays in Latin America, gets a ton of money, ton of points, he's not going to be playing in GSL. So basically, we were going to have no foreigners at all in GSL, essentially. I don't think anyone was going to risk losing BlizzCon completely.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's I didn't like it for a couple of reasons, like the initial ruling, because okay, so definitely what you say about the challenger thing. Also, the identity of the GSL, like from the beginning, GSL global StarCraft, like it's supposed to have been something where foreigners can come and compete, and yeah, that piques our viewership for sure. It makes it a more exciting show for sure. I understand some of the complaints from Korean pro gamers about the kind of one-sidedness of things, but to be honest, it's like I would say the way that all this has gone down has helped StarCraft 2 in general for sure.
It's no question.
I would love to see like the foreign scene getting better has definitely helped. But then I look at something like this GSL season where Scarlet's the only one that makes it, and we had a few other people try, like I think maybe sort of entered the qualifier, if I recall correctly. We had Taiwanese and Chinese players entering.
And Cloudy.
Yeah. And but I don't know. I look at that and I'm like, oh, that's just not.
No.
I don't like it being announced so late because people fly to, if you're gonna do that, you got to tell people beforehand, right? Like, it's really important. Not just that. GSL doesn't want that. We want fucking foreigners in this event, like for sure. I'm telling you, I've been casting it since the very first day.
That's like Lord of the Rings, but instead of dwarves that are like, you have my sword, you have my axe, it's like halflings, and they're like, you have my bundle of sticks, and you have my stones. And we're like, well, you never get to Mordor with those guys, right?
Yeah. To toot my own horn, but the team house actually benefits Korea a lot in the sense that all these players that stay here practice really long periods of time in the region as well. No one flies here and pieces out. Like these people stay for months and play. Neeb and TY like practiced a ton in that GSL season for opponents, and then they ended up getting each other. Like there's so much practice, inter-practice. We have Koreans at the house. Like it would be really big shame.
And I mean the house hosts a lot of events as well. That's primarily for Koreans as well, right? Like
for sure.
Yeah. I want to break this down because there's the ambiguity and if people are afraid to state it. Not afraid necessarily, but like, let's put it in plain talk, because I feel like there's a lot of people dancing around this, and they have a tough time grasping this. It's not fair. It's not fair, and I think you need to come to terms with that. And nobody said it better than what Katz just said. And if you can come up with an argument to counter this that doesn't involve arguing for fairness, I would love to hear that. But it is better for the game to grow the foreign scene. And if part of growing the foreign scene means that you have particular champions that can go to Korea and compete and create those headlines, create that excitement, and yes, take away opportunities from Korean domestic players, which again is not fair, but it's better for the game. Tell me why you're against that. Because here's the thing. If you make rules about fairness, and it's only about fairness, and that's some like nice utopian concept that you really want to have exist everywhere, but it kills the game, or it like depletes it to a place where everyone's pulling funding and nobody wants to do anything for it, then what the fuck do you have? Why did you do that? Why did you ruin my game that way? So like all these arguments, people come out and they're like, well, foreigners can go there, but Koreans can't come here. That's not okay. Guys, this isn't hypothetical. We lived in an era where Koreans could go everywhere, and it fucking murdered the scene. We lost sponsors. We lost tournaments. It killed the scene. And it was only when they retracted that and changed the rules, which are unfair, that we are now experiencing a fucking resurgence in viewership. Like, the game is growing in its fucking 10th year. This is ridiculous. So the funny thing about this opinion, too, is I think most people get it, but the loudest speakers are the ones on forums who are like, that's racist. Get them everywhere.
It's just really easy to like pretend to take a moral high ground, but really it's
I mean, the only reason why we even have a foreign scene, the only reason we have a foreign scene we do now is because of the locks that we've had. Like that is the only reason. Also, I think what we really need, if we were gonna go there on the route to try to make it more fair, it would be to try to accommodate GSL or Korean talent, new Korean talent. That would be the best thing we could do in Korea.
There are always ways to improve on it, and I'm not against that at all, obviously. And I think, and let's, again, call a spade a spade. The unfortunate byproduct of this is that it does hurt the Korean scene. I think it'd be ridiculous to say otherwise. If you allowed Koreans to travel to tournaments, the top 1% of the Koreans would benefit, right? Like if they could get on a team where they'd fly them to Montreal and to compete there, they would do it. Now, the funny thing about that too, and this is more of a mitigating point, it's not the answer, but it's worth mentioning. there are not teams right now, not as many anyways, that would fly these Koreans around. So it would be the same, I would say, probably 6 or 7 Koreans at every WCS stop, which is not bad in my opinion.
Certainly.
It is bad though, actually, when you think about this.
It's less bad, though, is my point, I guess.
We lost a bunch of our big names in Korea that actually hurt the GSL and the Korean scene, because the most famous, strongest players get picked up by teams and flown around.
Fair point.
And look, the foreign scene has caught up a lot, and we definitely have. Cyril is the champion and the best player in the world, not doubting that. But the Korean players are still better than NA and EU. Right. They're still better overall by far. And if a bunch of them fly around, they will win all the tournaments for the most part. Maybe Cyril wins them all, but then the next 5 players are Neeb and Showtime and 3 Koreans, right? Something like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I've already kind of said this. It's just,
and it would hit the GSL further, like you said, because then it would be less exciting.
I mean, we don't want that. Also, I mean, you start flying around Maru to all the events. It's like, and then he gets worse. And it's like, what are we doing? How does this help?
It also doesn't help the amateur scene in Korea at all still, by the way.
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of Koreans are complaining about, is the fact that the amateurs don't have that shot. But realistically, they don't have that shot either way.
Right.
Like, we on Region Lock, it actually doesn't help the amateurs at all. On that note too, though, Katowice has a ton of Korean participation, right? And a lot of them are flying themselves out.
Are a lot of them?
Yeah, like, I mean, last year, Hurricane was from our house and he flew himself out. I mean, there was lots of people doing it that did not have teams.
But when you say lots, do you mean like 5 or 6 probably?
I mean, like, the only team flying people out was Titan EX1, as far as I know. I don't even know if Jin Air was flying them out. I think they were flying themselves out.
I thought if you qualified it, they flew you out. Is that not true?
That is true. There was only 3 spots, right? For Koreans?
Koreans took 5 spots or 6 spots.
Okay, it was 6 spots.
They took other regions as well, which I think were open to everyone.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's including the other regions, right? Not 6 Korean locked spots or Korean qualifier spots.
I want to say one more thing about the actual lock that happened for this season that had us only get Scarlet. I mean, it's still going to be a great season for sure. I feel especially bad for Juan, though, I want to say, because like he's lived out here for so long and he's like friends with all the Koreans and stuff. And like, I'm certain that that's not what they were intending, was that Juan can't play in GSL.
No, they weren't. They certainly weren't.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't know. I didn't like that, but I mean, appreciate
Scarlet wasn't going to play too.
Maynard, if a guy's having a stroke in the chat, you can put this sword to him, by the way, buddy. It's fine. You can wield that weapon.
Just to mention, this thing that we're talking about, it didn't have the effect that they were looking for, Blizzard. So they announced that it is being walked back to exactly how it was last year. So there's not going to be any effect, I guess. Yeah, it's just weird to me that this was sprung. Who did they speak to do this? The people that made this decision? Who the fuck did they speak to? Because I don't know. Like, Artosis, do you think people play? Jake, do you think you're running the team now? So are people going to skip? Are we going to have everyone not
play? I gotta say, I think that what they were listening to everyone, right? Like, because that was the Reddit circle jerk after Solar's tweet, and for a while, and people were loud about like the fairness stuff. So I like that they listened. I'm not sure if they vetoed the idea enough, maybe, or think about it enough, or talk to people, like you said, to like figure out what would happen if they did it. But I do appreciate that they rolled it back as well. Like, I don't know, take some balls on.
I mean, it was pretty sketch. Like, I can't talk too heavily about it, but like, it looked like it was going to go through for sure. And then we talked about it, and we were pretty much confident that nobody was going to play. I talked to them because I was like, what's going on? Like, this is actually pretty
big. Well, that might end the team house.
Exactly.
Right?
Like, this would potentially end the team house. If nobody's coming to live in Korea, then why would we have a team house for it? Yeah. So obviously this is huge and hugely involves me and everybody who lives in Korea. So I was talking about it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're not going to have any participation in GSL. Anyone who's or no one's going to risk their BlizzCon to come fly here and play in the GSL. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's a big commitment in time.
Because you have to qualify, you have to be someone that's like reasonably close to
BlizzCon
level, yeah.
At least for like those people that are like investing their time and coming out and practicing and playing in it, like they're not going to do that. They can focus on BlizzCon if that's going to be the case.
Yeah, so, or on just an easier system overall.
I don't think anybody wanted a completely foreigner-less GSL, and it just seemed like an underestimation of the impact kind of thing. And when we saw the first season turnouts were like one player, and I had to convince that player to play. Like, it was not easy. I was like, you should just do it, like Challenger. whatever.
I wish people were more straight talking, you know, because it's like we just discussed, it is because if you look at, I mean, I'm not going to rehash the whole thing, but like it is unfair, right? Solar has a point. It's unfair.
Jeff.
What?
What?
Oh, I thought you said Jeff.
Sure. No, I said sure.
Oh, okay. But everyone's afraid of saying that, right? Like when Solar says that's unfair and people are like, that's unfair. I wish somebody said, this is what's better for the game. And we think that this is the direction we want to take it. And that's what we're going to do. And that strength will obviously rile people up. But then it would also end the argument, because now it's in this floaty place where it feels like if you complain enough and if you say that's not fair, then you'll get something like this. Because how is this better for the Koreans? Now you just hurt people without giving them better, right?
Yeah. I mean, if this went down the road and we locked foreigners out completely, it would just hurt the Korean scene a lot more. It's not worth the 1, 2, 3 spots to have less foreigner interest, less foreigners participating, no Neeb, no Showtime, no Cyril, no T or whoever.
Imagine the story of Cyril going to Korea and competing in GSL, which
right.
He was ambiguous about, but maybe if we got it, can you imagine if we got that? And then the next month he's fighting fucking AI to defend humanity? It's like, guys, we're talking about blowing StarCraft up to like top 3. It's like the potential's massive. So it's really disappointing.
What I wish they would have done was they would have saw that and been like, okay, we need to find a way to support Korean talent, new Korean talent, and like maybe make a region lock qualifier for just Korean amateurs, or maybe make like some Korean league code A that's just region locked for amateurs.
Yep.
Something
Where
like
does
that.
the budget come from though for that?
I know.
War chest.
I'm not saying
make a Korean war chest. Make another one.
Yeah, an online
a Korean war chest. I don't know. Would that fund itself?
Come on, we don't need like $1 million for amateurs. Like,
okay.
Well, my point is maybe it would, but you wouldn't know until you tried or did something, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, maybe like a amateur war chest tournament type
thing. Are you literally making a stretch goal? Like you say, if the war chest hits this tier, we're gonna bring back Code A for a season or 2.
That would be cool. Yeah, something like that would be cool, I think.
I think it would get the support necessary to fund Code A for just amateurs. It shouldn't be that much money. That would be my point, though. That would be like the ideal goal of if we saw this and we wanted to make it more fair.
It's kind of, and again, we don't know everything. So again, because a lot of Blizzard people listen to this, so I want to just reiterate again, we don't have the answers. We're speculating. We're not in there. So it's hopefully you understand this, you being the Blizzard professionals. This is just discussion. For me, my wish in like Business 101 is if you're going to discuss something unfair or bad, you always couple that with something good, like you guys are talking about, right? Like, so, hey, we recognize this rule is kind of unfair to Koreans. So to alleviate that, we're going to add a stretch goal where Code A comes back, and we think that's really exciting and awesome. We can't afford Tasteless, but we're going to have Artosis solo cast it from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. If you guys, can support that, then we'll do it. But we also think that it's best for viewership, and it's best to have Scarlet, Neeb, Cyril, Showtime competing in the GSL. It's better for everybody.
Right, 100%.
And the house in Korea, right? It actually, the house actually is a source of tournaments for Koreans on a regular basis. So
yeah. Also, the house I wanted to have like open to amateur Koreans if they want to come, or any Korean. We don't charge rent, and we just let them stay with us if they want to. You know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to be for everybody, not just foreigners. And we've never denied any Korean from coming.
That's why it's called the Unity House and not the White People House.
That is it.
And it was. But Jake, tell them the truth. Why you gotta be so altruistic? Seems so altruistic here. He wants a Korean so that they can order the food and shit. You know?
Yeah,
this motherfucker.
It's more for the maid, because like the maid will like look at us and like, what do I clean? And then we have a picture of Hurricane on our wall. And when Hurricane left home, she like pointed at Hurricane. She's like, "Odie, like where?" And I'm like, "I don't know what you want me to say. He's not here." And she just kind of cleaned on her own, but
just staring at Hurricane's picture.
That's not the only reason, though. That's just a benefit. Okay.
Yeah. Excellent.
We can order food though. It's more the maid. She just kind of lost.
I think that was a fantastic discussion. Thank you all very much, and we're all very impassioned on this. And I know that people are impassioned. They'll listen to this and they'll be very triggered and upset by us saying it's unfair and just kind of going over that. Please understand, this is like a disclaimer that should echo throughout all time and space. We just really, really like StarCraft, and we have our ideas of how to improve it, and we want to do that, and we want to talk about it. But please don't take it to villainous levels and think that there's some weird other thing going on. It's just, if you don't agree with us, that's okay too. So anyways, I have to say that now because I'm going to get a tweet later. It's like, Jeff hates Koreans. But, well, how did they know? But also, What is our next topic? Let's move it along.
Yeah, let's see.
Matt's doing a million things at once. What we talked about. All right. Katowice brackets? No, we're gonna move that to next.
We're skipping that. Yeah,
we're skipping that one. Oh my God, is it time, Dan? There was a patch in Brood War, you guys. Okay,
that's true.
Oh
yes.
shit!
Okay.
Jake,
well, obviously not a balanced
grab
patch.
a mug of hot cocoa, sit back, and let Dan tell you about this Brood War patch that happened.
So, well, a couple things happened in Brood War. Obviously, we're in ASL right now. I'll talk about that in a minute. But first off, yes, you're quite right. A new ladder season has begun. Yeah, so we have new maps, the ladder reset as always. I don't think anything really.
When you say new maps, you mean like literally new maps?
No, Matt.
Well, I think every map in Brood War that we use on ladder right now is generally an older map being brought back.
Oh, okay.
So it's a new map pool, basically. The only new maps that we actually see, well, no, sometimes we get new maps occasionally, but this season I don't think any of these are new, but the map pool, I actually pretty much like the map pool this season, except for 1 or 2 maps. So Fighting Spirit and Circuit Breakers are back. They've already stated that those are always going to be within the map pool because those are the standard macro maps that people like to play and like to practice on. In Brood War, people normally play on, like, when you're kind of a lower level player, amateur type person, you'll generally just practice on one map. That's very, very common. Anyways, so those 2 maps are back. They brought Coliseum into the map pool, which is very old. I don't like that as a map personally. I think it's Jeff, you remember Coliseum, right?
This is the map where I took 1 map off of Idra on it by doing a
That's
4
right. You did the 4-pool spine crawler or sunken, yeah.
Sir. Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Wait,
Jeez,
this has a normal
creep
this
right
has
in
creep?
front of the other base.
I remember this map.
Yes.
Greg GG, by the way, quick story for everyone. Greg was so much better than everybody. This is actually the only map he dropped in a WCG USA finals. It was to me with a 4-pool sunken rush, and he actually GG'd, and he was totally fine because then he crushed me after that. Immediately crushed me very hard.
He knew there was no issue after that one, but good on you, Jeff. That was definitely, I remember this.
Yeah.
But yeah, Coliseum is in the map pool. We have Medusa. You remember that one, Jeff?
I remember all
the
these.
main behind where you jump everything. Yeah. So Medusa's there. That's kind of an interesting one. Overwatch and Cross Game, a couple 2-player maps. We have two player maps in the pool, and I know that in StarCraft 2 we basically only have 2-player maps nowadays. But in StarCraft 1, it's like 3 and 4 player generally considered a little bit more interesting. But I think that these 2 maps are like really, really cool ones that we've added with the Overwatch and Cross Game. They're like they're really interesting with the way you can move around. It reminds me of some of the StarCraft 2 stuff that we were talking about today, where there's like a lot of paths, there's a lot of different transitions with high and low ground. It doesn't seem like it's too turtly, but just very interesting ones. So overall, I think, and then there's some big 4-player lava map that really sucks. It has like no bases on it. It's so weird. And like you can't get a 3rd gas in 2 of the matchups in the game. It's like, are you playing Protoss for Zerg? I hope you don't need a 3rd geyser to play that game.
Good luck.
Like, okay, I don't know what we're doing here. I think that's a bad map. But anyways, it's a new season, so that's kind of very exciting. Everyone's playing a bunch and a cool new map pool. Historically, in the last 2 seasons, I believe we had the KSL maps line up with the map pool. So there is that possibility that these maps will be played professionally in the KSL Season 3. Obviously, that is yet to be announced or anything or verified, but we will see. So yeah, that's kind of the new thing going on within Brood War.
Very cool.
But we do have ASL going on as well.
And we'll talk about that as the results roll in, right?
Yeah, and we have some results. The round of 16 is starting up, and that'll be on Sunday. We'll have the round of 16 starting. So very exciting stuff. It's definitely a good season. People were kind of worried, I think, that Flash and Jaedong weren't playing this season. They've got some injuries and stuff and are taking it easy for a little bit. But so far it's been quite a nice season. We're having a lot of amateur talent starting to rise within StarCraft 1 as well. So everything's really healthy in Korea right now for StarCraft 1. Good
Very
stuff.
Cool. And that is your Brood War update. So we can move to the next one, which maybe is the GSL. Maybe. Looks like it is. So we had our first group of GSL. Dan, you're back in the commander seat. You guys were looking dapper.
Right.
Tasteless with a full silver beard. Oh my god.
Really?
I know. He's turning into a silver fox here. He's looking good. But yeah, no, this season kind of it's looking really exciting this season. First off, obviously we got announced finally that it's the full schedule. That was the most annoying thing, I got to tell you, Jeff, is having every human, every time I'm on a streamer show, like, can you just tell me? I'm worried. Is GSL even going to be there this year? And I want to sit everyone down in a room that says that and be like, guys,
please,
you know what? You're asking me when GSL is? I'm glad that you asked, because Africa TV, their plan was, right, they booked everything and they're like, this is how we're going to announce it. We're not going to put anything out there news wise. Artosis, when someone asks you, we want you to tell them, and that's how we're going to announce the season. Oh my god.
Yeah.
How crazy are everyone asking me all the time what's happening with GSL? Yeah, I can tell you guys.
I know.
What in the hell? Anyways, we have absolutely everything this year. And this first season, you know, despite the fact we talked about like not too many non-Koreans got to try out regardless, you know, we normally only get what, 2-3 non-Koreans will generally make the season. Scarlet made it anyway, so that's really great. And I think that there weren't that many people out here at the time of the qualifier. So
you're talking about before Serral, though. You know, these are different times that we're in now.
Yes, indeed. If Serral comes out, I have no doubt he will make it.
Also, they announced a sponsorship with Mountain Dew.
That's right. People are excited about that. We are sponsored by Mountain Dew, and that gives you the good feels, because we're an extreme sport now. Because you know that's the Mountain Dew.
It's a pretty big deal though, because and I'm not sure obviously where this tracks back to, but Mountain Dew was a part of the and of course now that I'm talking about blanking out, but there was an esports league out of California many moons ago. Hopefully somebody in the chat can help me out, but it was like multi games. They had teams from all kinds of different like areas. They bought up franchises, and it did not do well. They did their draft inside not MLG. No, thank you. I can remember MLG.
Was it Halo something?
No, it wasn't the Halo League.
Oh, like WVSG or some shit like that?
No, absolutely not. You guys are fucking.
Mountain Dew sounds Halo to me, you know.
Look, there was a lot of
CSL, CG, something like that. Anyways, they did their draft in the Playboy Mansion. They had a big building where they had all the players stay in it. But Mountain Dew sponsored it, and then it was on like the Sci-Fi Channel or some shit like that. It did not do well, and it crashed. And Mountain Dew has not been seen since, for the most part, in gaming. So for them to sponsor something like this is pretty awesome. CGL, that sounds about right, something like that. No, not the NASL. I worked on that. Shut the fuck up, Jesus Christ.
Pretty sure it was the NASL.
I think it was the NASL. I remember that.
No.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's.
That was the first tournament that should have been region locked. I made a video about that.
My gosh,
it's good. It's good that they're sponsored.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like kind of a general excitement right now that we're all back at work and having a great show. We have some huge names coming back into GSL, so that's very exciting, right? Like Parting is obviously playing again. MC has made it in.
Fantasy is a legend right now. He's so good. Fantasy is
Jake. You are the owner of a team with MC in it. Can we please hype
Fantasy is so much better than MC. It's not even funny. Like if I was gonna put them on a list, here's fucking MC and Fantasy is fucking off the screen. Okay, he's so good.
Yeah,
I'm ready for Fantasy to win.
And this is really exciting because you know, I think most StarCraft 2 fans weren't old StarCraft 1 guys, but Fantasy was literally the second best Terran in the world to flash in StarCraft 1. And if StarCraft 1 had lasted longer, he was one of those guys that maybe could have, you know, given Flash a run for his money. Like, actually, he lost the very last OSL. He was in the finals of, to put that into perspective. And he is the only guy that has, for like big time StarCraft 1 pros, come out of the military and said, "No, I don't want to play StarCraft 1. I want to play StarCraft 2." So
that's huge.
I think that in and of itself is a really exciting, cool thing because we've had a lot of it going the other way, right? Where it's like
especially for fantasy, right? Because fantasy would make way more money playing Brood War than StarCraft 2.
That's
right?
true.
Streaming, he's fantasy.
Yeah, he's so popular, and the StarCraft 1 scene out here is huge. So to have him, and he's in such good shape right now in StarCraft 2 as well. He's doing so
really
well.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Get him streaming. He's a good personality.
Yeah.
So GSL, is it tomorrow?
It's today, tomorrow, the next day. Then we have ASL. Then we have one day off. Then we have GSL for a few days. We're basically, before Katowice begins, we're getting through the entire round of 32. So we have just a ton of GSL days right in a row. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, the next 3 days, guys. You can tune in.
Have we done as like a GSL, like a show on GSL?
Every show, my man. Every show.
Well, we talk about it.
I mean, like sometimes you have a show that's like a preview. I didn't know if you had a preview.
No, because Koreans are really boring to talk about. We prefer to talk about foreigners. You know what I mean?
Come on, Koreans are great.
That was
Dan, do you think Scarlett's going to get out of this group out of curiosity?
Huh?
You think Scarlett will get out of this group?
I'm a little bit worried that you're going to make a bet, Jake.
I think she'll get out of the group for sure. Her and Maru.
Okay. I think it's hard. I think it's really hard.
But I mean, Hero can throw some upsets. If she beats Hero in the first match. Well, actually, I think she'll probably play Hero in both matches, right? Because Hero could get out first, and then Scarlet versus Maru.
You just got Artosis to curse Scarlet. I hope you're proud of yourself.
I'm
like I'm fighting back against this and trying to hold the doors, and you're like, Dan, you think Scarlet will advance? He's like, yeah, absolutely, man, I sure do.
Like, Dan, do you really think Scarlet will advance? Do you really think so? Like, look at that group. There's Hero in there and there's Maru in there. There's no way, right?
I tried. I'm so sorry, but
I think she could, but I wouldn't give her like.
Yeah.
I hope she does.
Look at Group G. Could we look at Group G for a moment? Because Group E is insane, but look at Group G. TY Fantasy Impact Leenock. You kidding me? This group?
Oh, what about Group C? Stats Kier, Gumiho.
What's a bad group here?
Hold on.
What about Group C? What are Group F? They're all
Group B. Classic True Lucera.
That's a pretty bad group. Yeah.
Guess how many Protoss are advancing tonight? 2 of them. 2 Protoss are advancing tonight. That's
True's gonna upset. True
versus Lucera is gonna be such a shicey ZZ too. It's just like.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like 4 meta switches in the same game. Oh my god. Stats, MC, Kira, Gumio. I just like watching Gumio play. He's just fun every time.
Yeah.
He's very smart.
They're really good groups.
Let me ask you this, Jake, because you're helping these guys. Why are we seeing the 2-base Terran tank pre-medevac push? We saw it in the GSL Group A as well. Like every Terran, like Keen did it every game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone moves out without stim.
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it just like tearing up the ladder? Because every time in competition it gets murderlated. It's just.
I feel like it's not. It makes sense on some maps, but not this map pool. This map pool is not. So
I think everyone gets inside of each other's heads, and like
it's
the fact that Innovation will drop one map to trap and then decide that the matchup's broken, and then there's this echo chamber of everyone talking about how Terran can't beat Protoss.
You're close, Dan, but you're incorrect.
Yeah.
I think this runs deeper. I think Terrans are actively throwing after the last balance patch. Like they saw Protoss straight up get a buff, and they're like, guys,
that's what it is.
Let's all do the shittiest build we can come up with, and we'll put it on the biggest stages, and it will 100% lose. And then they were like, now who's going to complain about this on Twitter? DeMuslim raise his hand. Euthermal raise his hand. Every Korean raised their hand. Hero Marine said he'll retire if he loses his group. And it was like, well, hang on. We can't be too overt about it because if we are, people will catch on to us. But they didn't do that anyways. They all fucking just every Terran. It's like, here we are in the WCS match. Who is it? Hero Marine against like a Lithuanian Protoss player who's 13 years old. The guy, like, you know, he's playing on an internet that's literally powered by like 6 rabid dogs chasing each other. And he fucking goes to the game 3 and it's close. And in 2 of the 3 games, he does a stupid build. Pre-stim combat shield? I feel like Terrans are in this weird identity crisis where they're like, hang on. What if we cut the best upgrade we have available to us and do a build around it?
Is that really a thing? I don't know. If
It's
that's
a thing.
Like I'm sure they have like some sort of reasoning, you know.
I've been asking.
But I will say on your behalf, I think that the Terran hive, like every race will have a hive mind and a meta dictated by the top players and the feels of the top players to a degree. I agree with that. And I think that Terrans are probably, out of all the 3 races, the most iterative race, right? Like they kind of, like they're the race that they all do the same shit, right? Like they all do the same double medevac drop for like a year, right? And then you have like 90% of the games being that. So I can see how they, you know.
Yeah, if you ask a Terran why they do it, they're just like, this is just the only option.
It's the best build.
They
say it's the only option. There's nothing else that works.
And then you see like TY break out this like really fucking crazy like smart thing.
That's why Gumiho is fun to watch though.
I can't wait for Zergs to collectively be like, what if we skip injections,
link speed,
show up with max queen energy, and we trend fuse forever at the 11-minute mark, and then, you know, they're down 70 supply and it doesn't work. They're like, well, that's weird. I'm going to try to keep doing it though.
Hey, actually, while we're on this kind of like balance little shit talk fest, I got a question for you, No Regret, because I'm pretty sure you said this too. Like when we had some balance talk episodes for the after BlizzCon patch,
right?
All I heard the Zergs say over and over, which at the time I made fun of all of you.
Okay, well, no.
Let him get it.
Let him finish.
Mute his mic. I heard from all of you over and over again, ZVP, unwinnable. Time warp, too strong. The one mothership gonna be able to cast that time warp. You can't do anything about it. You can't ever win. Now, I want to ask everyone here, because we all watch and play a lot of StarCraft. Have any of you seen at the pro level one time warp against Zerg?
Yes.
Even one.
When the mothership, Dan, when the mothership gets abducted and it's about to die in 2 seconds, it poops out the 2 time warps.
There you go.
It's like watching a goose run from a predator.
What's the problem? What's the problem with the time warp then? Is it the range?
I feel like I just feel like it's not used enough to see it being broken.
You know? Bro, I get it.
And like about
the matchup's still gonna be broken because of that time warp.
Oh my god!
6 to 7 months, one Protoss is gonna do something crazy, and everyone's gonna be like, "Holy shit, that ability exists!" And then we're gonna.
Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, exactly. Like, is it why don't people use the time warp? It's
you know what this is?
You mean the hero unit that costs too much money and dies basically for free?
Are we saying,
I mean, people get the mothership. There's no doubt they get the mothership.
No.
So the question is, why not use the time warp after they have energy for?
Dan, here's the actual answer that Cats or No Regret simply don't have the shame to speak in public. It's as Zerg players, when you've complained about everything so hard, and you get to the bottom of the list, you're like, what have we fucking not complained about? And down there is time warp off the mothership. And you're like, guys, this is going to be a hard sell, but I need us to unify on this, okay? This is bullshit, and we know it. Let's get out there. Oh my god. And they double
down on it.
And it must be so frustrating while Cyril
we'll see in 6 months, guys.
every game, he's paying respects, and he's fucking destroying everyone.
I feel like I never balance fine.
I mean, I remember you and I both said it was going to be really good in the last talk, and Dan was like, no, it's not going to be good, and then we didn't see
it. You guys are literally talking about a spell from the hero unit that comes at the end of the game, and you're going to see like one of them. And it's like the easiest fucking unit to kill because you can't misclick. It will literally just be targeted if you want it to. It's just such an insane thing to pretend that would be.
I don't know.
At the time, we were seeing a lot of
make it. The mothership is good, right?
With the mothership, like
imagine if you could only make one BC, and I'm like, Yamato Cannon is just. I'm never gonna win again against Yamato Cannon.
They did quietly nerf the Yamato Cannon. Like I was like,
well, it was pretty.
But if you could only make one BC, was it? All right.
Okay.
Well, the problem was they would just research it, teleport across, kill a couple queens, leave, repair, teleport across again, kill a couple more queens, then we just died of the timing.
I don't know.
Apparently, people are doing that. I heard that, but it's
like as soon as they nerfed it, it was done. They're like, no one does that shit anymore.
Bad example. Whatever. I'm just saying. That was the stupidest call from Zerg players I have ever heard. That is an unwinnable matchup because of time warp, and now For me personally, I've been watching a hell of a lot of StarCraft.
Like Cats and I didn't say it was that like
I definitely didn't.
Yeah, I don't think we went that hard. We just said it was going to be good. That's what I thought.
I was asking why.
I know you were in here, Cats.
Dan, you're
I mean, if the Time
the
got
political
buffed,
cover-up
then
that's
it's
happening
fine.
afterwards by the circles. No, we didn't say that.
We didn't say that. Oh, I'm sorry. All the VODs for Pylon Show are on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't think we were that crazy. We're like, you're just not going
we didn't say that. We didn't do
It's
that.
broken matchup. Can't win.
I think me and Cats were pretty reasonable. We were just like, oh, it's going to be.
Just imagine you throw the time warp down on the spores.
It's true though. Why don't they do that? To be fair, the carrier got nerfed too, so we see a little bit less, like Protoss Death Ball.
And the
Infestor is very strong right now. So it seems like Zerg is favored in the late game right now.
Well, careful, Cats. You're gonna get voted out of your council.
Someone's gonna time warp like that. Feel differently, my friend.
God, what a good episode this was, guys. Thank you. And now let's, based upon, who knows, we could drive the quality of the show way up, or we could drive it way down. That's right. Ooh. It's the Q&A section of the show.
Wait, I want to talk one more thing before.
Do it.
Can we talk about you and stand up? I'm quite curious.
Oh yeah.
For a while I've wanted to do stand up. I think it'd be fun, and it's kind of exciting. I like speaking publicly and stuff like that, but if I'm the kind of person where if I'm just like, I want to do that thing, it probably never happens. But if I say I'm going to do this thing by this time, then I always do it. So for better or for worse, I told myself that this year I will go do stand up. So what that means is I'm going to sign up for an open mic somewhere in San Francisco or whatever. And
you're going to write something?
Yeah, that's the hard part for me is I usually do everything impromptu, but obviously for something like that, you can't just get up there and be like, I'll just wing some jokes, because then I'll just vomit on myself and cry and then sit, walk away. So yeah, I'm gonna put in the work and time and try to make it good, and I'll record.
Do you have an idea? Do you have an idea for your routine?
Yeah, this might sound weird. I actually am constantly thinking of funny things to talk about in my head all the time, and I'm like, I should write that down, and I never do. So I will start to.
That's gonna be great.
So you're not gonna give us a glimpse?
I already know what he's gonna do, guys. He's gonna make Fear Dragon go up on stage, and then he's just gonna.
Well, that is the tough part. Is I basically need to goad someone into heckling me, and then that will actually become my stand-up. But
yeah,
no, I've got good material. I grew up in a very funny house, and yeah, it'll be fun. We'll see. But like I said, we'll record it. So if it's terrible, you'll get to see that, and you can laugh at me. And if it's good, you'll laugh alongside me.
I think you're a unique individual too, right? You're a gamer, a professional gamer, but you also lift and you're huge. Yeah. I think you can talk about that.
I just can't wait for someone to try and heckle you, because they're gonna be in for a fucking rude awakening.
It'd be fun.
It's the greatest thing ever. You know what? How about this? You pay my flight, I'll heckle you from the audience, and then you just have a perfect fucking ready,
I'll just fly in everybody. That's how I'll rig this. I'll fly in the audience. I'll have an audience of 100 people that are all my friends and stuff, and they just laugh at every joke. I'm like, wow, I'm really great. What do you know? Wow. Yeah, so that'll be fun. Thank you for asking.
I'm excited. I think you'll do well. You're one of the funniest people I know. So.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Naturally funny, I think.
Appreciate you guys. Okay, let's get to the Q&A part. So we're wrapping up the show. We're going to do the Q&A real quick. And just to reiterate, as we have the last few weeks, not every question's guaranteed. So try and, make them good. They can still be trolly, can still be funny, can be relevant, but you're just more likely to get your questions asked if it's a good question. Okay, so Cobra, if you don't mind opening up, let me take a look here. Sam Talik says, what living person do you most admire and why? Living person. So Jake, it's cats, but if you could talk a little bit about why, I guess.
Wait, what? The person I admire the most?
Go on.
In esports or ever?
Anywhere, ever. It doesn't matter. Does it matter?
No. Well, yes. What living person do you admire the most? They have to be alive, yes.
I don't know. This is a hard question for me. Somebody else go first. I can't either.
Admire is an interesting word, I guess.
Yeah.
If you mean
I don't look up to anyone. I think everyone's even
influence me, but no one I would just be like, oh, I really admire this person.
I'm gonna cheat, but this is just in the context of it's interesting. I actually can't remember his name, but I read a story about a police officer, and it was a European country. I can't remember. Actually, it was France, I believe. And he's dead now, so that's why I'm cheating. But a person was taken hostage at gunpoint, and he negotiated for them to swap him in for them, and then he was actually killed by the killer. But he was like this incredible good cop that just wanted to save that person, and he did that, and it inspired me. It like kind of made me think about, everyone wants to be the good person, but when the shit actually hits the fan, to be that person is amazing. So that was really inspiring, and that is cool to hear.
I don't know that I believe in true altruism though, so like it's difficult for me to like look at an action like that and be like, it's nice and it's heartwarming, but at the same time it's like that person probably gets rewarded from helping people or from like being the hero more so than someone else. So it's not,
well, he's dead now, so I'm going to give that one to him.
Yeah, I mean, you can give it to him. All his particles are still around them.
That's probably true. Yes,
it is. Yeah.
No answers.
It's actually a very good question. I'm kind of like Cats, where I don't really admire people too much. There's like, I guess like I was always a little bit of a fanboy when he was still alive of Anthony Bourdain. Like I always thought that he was like basically the greatest show host that there ever was. And I really was like, wow, that's, if I could ever, be that real and good on my shows, that would be really fantastic. Obviously that is cheating because he died recently, but
yeah, my grandpa died recently. He would have been the one that I would have picked if I had one to pick one.
Yeah, good question, Sam Talk. But I guess when it comes to admiring people, sometimes it's hard to kind of think of someone alive necessarily that you're. All right.
I'd like to say Dan. I'm inspired by Dan a lot.
Yeah.
There you go. Thanks.
That's
not a bad answer either.
For me, I gotta say, Tasteless is he's my hero.
He's pretty witty, that guy. And now that you mentioned Tasteless, we're gonna get asked for the next 6 weeks when he's coming on the show. So thank you for doing that.
Probably next week, guys. Don't worry about it.
What is worse, stepping on a small Lego with no shoes on, or smashing your tiny toe into the edge of a wall? Asked by
It's the edge of the wall. I have children.
Yeah.
I can answer this definitively.
I think that's the answer, right? Nobody's gonna argue that.
No one.
Yeah, no, the edge of the wall with the toe.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Our very own Alessander asks, is there anyone you face on ladder that brings out the best, worst, or extra diehard tryhard in you, and why?
Most of my teammates for me. Yeah.
So when you lost that best of 3 to No Regret, that especially hurt, is what you're saying?
Yeah, and then I crushed him, and I was like, good, puffed up my chest.
I mean, I didn't know you cared so much about a Steps of War best of 3. God damn.
Oh, of course I did. Yeah, it was very important.
For me, it's anytime I face a fellow caster. Like I hit Nathanius on the ladder, I hit Rotterdam every once in a while. Not Pig though. Okay, listen, Pig doesn't count every fucking time. Pig, I love that guy, but he's always just like, hey mate, good evening, welcome to Australia. And there's like the part of me that throughout the day I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give it my best effort, and it's like, playing StarCraft in lag is so much worse than being in traffic. It's like being in traffic with stupid people. Just everything's slow and bad, and just.
I agree.
Pig, it doesn't count. Anybody else? Dan, when you hit somebody?
I mean.
So for you, it's Protoss and StarCraft
Remastered. Mostly barcodes and stuff. Yeah, well.
Every time you get a Protoss.
Doesn't matter how hard I try there, Jeff. It just matters which coins they flip. Yeah, I guess if I hit someone multiple times in a row, especially if I lost, there was like maybe 6 or 8 months ago, I hit this Protoss. His ID was Calm Sex, and I hit him like 8 times in a row or something. It was the most epic battle ever, and he was so cheesy, Jeff. You just I was trying I was trying so hard. I think he like 5-2'd me or something, but it was like I was putting in the effort, man. I was really it was embarrassing.
That's good.
I just kept queuing into him over and over.
I do like that.
For me, it's anyone like Avillo is like a really, really bad one to lose.
Oh, you can't lose to Avillo. Yeah.
Avillo is a really bad one to lose to. I'm trying to. Rough isn't that bad, but like losing to those people, those are the ones like I need to win.
The ones that are streamers in general, right? Like
all the streamers.
Just more on the line because there's more people watching.
Exactly. All the streamers. Everyone else, I really don't care, and I like to play a style where I feel like I can learn a lot about the other person and about myself and my own play. But like if I'm playing with those people, I try so hard, and sometimes I feel like I lose because of that. But
it's a young rivalry in the making. But I'll tell you what, anytime I'm gonna hit Livy B on the ladder, it's as if she is like. I just have to destroy her. I have to absolutely fucking murder her. I played her a couple months ago. I was having a bad day. I did a bad strategy. She murders it. She beats it. A couple days later, I get a tweet. Oof. Hey, cheeky game against iNcontrol here on the weekends. And I'm like, you know what? I handled it like a gentleman. I was like, I think I gave it a little like. Maybe I didn't give it a like, but I didn't say nothing. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then, a couple weeks later, queuing up, there she is. And if you watch the VOD, there's a moment of like, revenge. This is good. Yeah. And people are like, oh, that's Livy B. I'm one of the bees too. I'm a bee. And I'm like, yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm going to murder your fan here. And I did. I murdered her. And I'm actually, despite who I am, a lot of people are like, you're probably really mean on the letter. No, I always GG, always GL. But if there's a little bit of context to it, I think I said something like, she said like GL, and I said, hi YouTube, or something like that. And she, well. As it would turn out, that game, it might still be uploading to this day, but it's not on YouTube, actually. I missed that one, so.
That's funny.
That was, and now every time I face her, it's going to be extra effort is what I would call it.
Yeah.
Seraph6, what are your thoughts on No DreamHack Dallas, formerly Austin, event for WCS Summer? I had been planning to attend that one this year, and it leaves me pretty disappointed to only have one NA event.
In the show?
Same. I'm crushed about that particular event. I really wanted to go to Dallas.
Austin was great. And Dallas would have been wonderful as well,
yeah. I never got to go, but it always looked like a fun event. It's still a DreamHack, so maybe there can be, some smaller events there that are still worthwhile for people that live in America, Sometimes, like, who knows? Maybe Rifkin flies down and saves the day with a little amateur event or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Or Philadelphia is pretty good. Yeah, but yeah,
I want to make it to Philadelphia. I'm going to try to look at that schedule because that would be so fun.
Last one was the biggest so far, and they get a bunch of players. It'd be worth checking out.
They have such a cool vibe. Anyway, I haven't been there, but it just feels so grassroots and stuff, and I miss that actually. Like MLG really did a good job of capturing that. It was such a cool part of StarCraft.
It was, yeah.
At Sherry, this might take us. It's a good question, but I think you have to uncover it a little bit. Would you, as successful StarCraft personalities, and no regret, have ever followed a game or passion? He didn't say that, by the way. I'm just kidding. Like StarCraft, as closely and persistent as many fans without already having success or even a very specific talent? If not, as I would suppose, what is the difference between you and the passionate, maybe even hardworking, but still noobish fan and player? Do you agree that this is a hypothetical characteristic difference, may cause a lot of tension, misunderstanding in the community, and may cause maybe a case of intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation? So we're not going to try to unpack. This guy's got a big veiny brain. But the question is, like, I think, and you guys can tell me if I'm wrong,
in English,
if you weren't very good at what you do and didn't have the following, would you still be as passionate about it? Or is part of the reason why you do this because you had talents that made you good?
That is a really good question.
And then he asked, like, what's the difference between you and someone that's working really hard but maybe doesn't have the talents that you do?
I mean, I had to like the game enough to get good in the first place. So I want to say that I would like it either way, but I obviously wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't be living in Creo playing, if I was in Gold League.
I think you're an interesting case though, Jake, right? Like you start off as a player, but now I would say 99% of your success was in that you are a great facilitator and that you then ended up being from that, you ended up being a person that does commentary, that is at these events. What is your talent that got you or was it luck or what? What got you into a position where you're doing these things?
I mean, it started with being a player for sure, right?
Think so?
So I think I built a lot of relationships as a player. I wasn't a good player, but I was a player noteworthy enough to be on the radar of all the other players, and at least I could make friendships with everybody. And then when I did go to Korea to play, I wasn't as successful, and maybe that's a good thing. If I was too successful, then perhaps I wouldn't.
How'd you get to Korea? Who sent you? Or did you send yourself?
I sent myself as a streamer at the time.
And then you stayed at the house, right? And who was like managing the house at the time?
I stayed at MVP, the team house before it disbanded.
Well, how did the house even come to be? Like, how did you become the manager of the house?
Well, it started with MVP. I lived there, and then obviously Pro League disbanded and the team house disbanded. So I was kind of homeless, and then Scarlett was also living in Korea at the time, and we figured we could just live together, and it would be cheaper in every aspect, and we could possibly house one other person.
Oh, cool.
At the time, and then it just grew from there.
Yeah, this is a tough one to unpack, but what do you think, Katz?
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question that well.
Okay, so he puts it in simpler terms here, so maybe this helps.
Uh-huh.
Or the other way around, do you think someone can really enjoy an activity he or she objectively has no talent for and no success in?
I think it's very difficult to enjoy an activity that you have no talent for, because a lot of what talent is the motivation and the drive to do that activity, right? And then there's also like a cognitive or a physical element to it, right? Like if you're a very small person, then it might take you a lot longer to lift up bigger weights, right? Or a lot more work. So is it then feasible for you to pursue that path? Well, probably not, and you probably wouldn't get like a lot of validation. Whereas if you're doing the things that you're interested in, the things that you like, you're usually going to get validation from other people, right? If you're good at drawing as a kid, then other kids, or you'll compare yourself to other kids, or your parents will compare yourself to other kids, and you'll be like, oh wow, you're good at art, and all of a sudden that's validation, and we all crave it. So whenever you're told you're good at something, or whenever you're putting people like smiles on people's faces, or they're like, wow, how did you do that, then we're more likely to become even more interested in the things that we're already engaged in. So I think that everyone has talents. It's just a matter of finding what your niche is, what you enjoy doing the most, and that's usually going to be what you're best at. Yeah. And if you're not, you gotta realize that soon enough, I guess.
I think the second iteration of the question is easily answered. Yes, you can absolutely enjoy things that you don't have talent or success in. I think that's everybody in something.
Yeah.
Specifically to us as successful StarCraft personalities, I think StarCraft attracts people that are pretty competitive and pretty driven to succeed in one way or another. And I can look at this panel of 4 people and say, I don't think any one of these guys would have like settled for anything less than doing well and on some level, right? It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It does not have to be you're the best at whatever. It just so happens Dan's the best commentator. But for instance, like he's really shitty at StarCraft 2. You know what I mean? Like, and he loves both so much. But he's such a great commentator, but so bad at the game.
Yeah, and everyone craves validation to a degree, right? And yeah, it's important to understand that, because like people like kind of look down on that. But like, for example, for me, it was so important when people used my build orders,
right?
Like that. So I made sure that people knew that those were my build orders, like that kind of shit. Like Jake is similar in that regard. Like, so it's like you said, like within an area, you can also kind of zoom into different areas of that area and be good at something there.
Yeah.
Great question.
I normally shoot people down when they start talking about talent and stuff, because everything is so much hard work based. I think, obviously all of us did work hard to get to where we're at. And I think you're right, Jeff. None of us would have, like, I don't know. I don't give up. I personally, in situations like StarCraft, I operate on an infinite time scale where I'm like, well, I'm never going to give up. So I guess I'm always going to get better, aren't I?
Yep.
And it's something like that. And like, I don't know. I mean, I guess from one person's point of view, maybe I'm talented at this. And then from another person, Flash looks at me, probably he's like, you are the most helpless fuck I've ever seen. Right. So
yeah, but there are predispositions, right? There are predispositions. Like, some people are going to be predisposed to be better, even if it is by virtue of having done something else. Like, for example, if a new RTS comes out tomorrow, we all have already built up a lot of skill sets that are going to transfer over, right? So at different points in your life, you will or won't have a talent, whatever you want to call that. You can call talent the acquisition of hard work up until that point, but you're still going to have a base to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, certainly that's true. But I mean, I think it's if you want something bad enough, I don't know, I saw some cool quote where it's like, if you want something bad enough and you didn't get it, you either didn't want it as bad as you thought you did, or you weren't willing to pay the price. And that's like kind of what a lot of this comes down to. Like, if you operate in such a way that you're actually willing to do anything, including
do you think that any person could be the best player in the world
if they put in the hours?
I think so. if you have like functioning like hands and stuff like that, like obviously, if you're someone that unfortunately is born without hands, let's say, right?
No, but I mean, even if you have hands, right? Like, how much can you train your reflexes? Like, there's There's gonna be people that are just like
train them a hell of a lot. And like, look, there's Protoss players like I talked about, 250 APM man winning tournaments. Okay. You don't.
Yeah, but listen, like there's even different ways that humans process things, right? Like some people are like, for example, more visual, and some people basically process in text, and the people that basically process in text are faster at processing information.
Here's the thing: we are not in StarCraft right now. Is not like swimming. Okay, Michael Phelps is the best swimmer. I can't become the best swimmer. That's a fact. StarCraft, training is still really poorly done. Practice is poorly done. The whole thing is misunderstood. There's still a lot of room for anyone to do it. Now, StarCraft continues for another 50 years and gets bigger, and we get more studies and more refined practice schedules and stuff. Yeah, maybe eventually we're going to hit a point where, like, you know, people can't. You just can't do it, right? Because it's like, well, I mean, we've measured this, and now all the top players in the year 2200 or whatever, you know, have this type of, you know, twitch fiber in their muscle, whatever the fuck, right?
Well,
we're not at that point. If you
no,
really,
and StarCraft
really
is
work
diverse
hard, you are going to continue
right? There's
to
a
get
lot of
better.
skill sets that come into it. Like you can definitely take your own paths and stuff like that. I just felt like your argument was in behalf of everything, right? Like hard work is all that matters. And I think it's a little this
hard work and showing up is 99% of everything.
I agree, it's the majority.
I agree with the drive of what he's saying. I think the thing that I would add to this conversation is that like to be excellent at anything, there's also a huge level of RNG that you have actually no control over, and there's outside influences that kind of stop these dreams. So whenever someone's just like, if we put enough work, you can do anything, I'm like, yeah, but what if that person, their parents die, and they have to pay to support their children, they got to go to school. I don't want to look at that person and be like, you didn't try hard enough and you didn't want it bad enough. They're like, maybe that's actually what they wanted the most, but life kind of dictated they couldn't do it. There's a huge amount of privilege that allowed us to be in a position where we could put in the time to focus on a game that we love. And I think it'd be really bad if we didn't acknowledge the fact that, like, there are people that want it really bad, and time in the world did not allow them the chance to even try. But yes, I do have the same feelings about talent, where someone just like, someone doesn't sit down with StarCraft and just end up really good. There's talent involved, but
you're certainly, Jeff, I don't disagree with that, but really, if you keep pulling back in that way, into that point of view, then everything in the entire world is luck-based. Like, we were all lucky to be born who we are with the traits that we have and the situations that we were in. And really, that's everything, right?
Part of it, and I know where you're going with this.
Pulling back and keep getting to luck, but like if you want to talk about like a more realistic, in my opinion, what is a more realistic way to look at it? You're certainly right. Like, people are going to get unlucky and not be able to follow their dreams necessarily because of certain things that mean a lot to them, like family that maybe you have to take care of or something like that. But overall, most everything comes down to hard work. Like,
follow your dreams and work hard, so long as you know yourself enough to know
something in the
where
middle.
to
I think we
do
both
it.
agree with each other. My point that wasn't being spoken and needs to be is that, because I encounter people in StarCraft in particular that are like, I wanted this more than anything, but their girlfriend got pregnant, or they, you know, for whatever reason, just things dragged them away from it. And I would find it really bad to be like, well, you didn't want it enough. If you would have wanted enough, you would have made all of that work. Because it's not to say it's impossible. It's to say that prioritization also comes into the wheel of like what's important. And we were in a position where we could prioritize making ourselves as good as we could at this thing. And we capitalized off that. And that's awesome. Some other people don't have that.
Yes. No, you're certainly right about that. But there are even things there, right? Where it's like, I mean, you can cut out all sorts of things out of your life and really truly like, I never went to a school dance, and I didn't date until after high school and stuff. Like, I was just practicing StarCraft, man, all the time, every day, all day, because it truly was the only thing I wanted. And I mean, of course I was in a privileged position in a lot of ways. I was born in America and stuff, and, you know, single parent home where I could get away with doing this shit, and my mom would not figure out what I was doing and wasn't doing. But the thing is, the further you pull back, the more it becomes luck and privilege. But also at the same time, I think, you know, too many people point to people and say talent and stuff like that, when it's like, that's an excuse for most people when they're talking about it.
I agree. I think what we all agree on is accountability, right? So yours is from the perspective of hard work. Some people aren't willing or able to give that hard work, and my accountability is the hard facts, that, because I don't like the message that prevails too, where someone's like, you could do anything, you could be anything you want. I like the idea behind that, but I think there's power in also accepting your reality as well. I've had like 35-year-old men contact me and be like, my wife gave me the year off. I'm going to go hard on being a pro gamer. I'm like, okay, what level are you? They're like, gold. And I'm like, fuck me. Well,
takes more than a year.
You are not going to do it. And everyone else would be like, yeah, absolutely. Chase your dreams. And maybe that is good for that person. But again, anyways, this is a huge question.
Maybe it's
good
not
talk.
good. Maybe it's not the most reasonable, right?
I'm
actually going to axe it, guys. Boop. You're done. We spent 30 minutes on this one question, and it's 8:30. So thank you. We have to get a couple more in here before we conclude this 3-hour episode. To Artosis. This is from HyperTurtle. He asked a lot of questions. What is the likelihood you will get enough sick days to finish Legacy of the Void this year? To everyone else, how does Artosis not completing the campaign after over 3 years affect his credibility as a StarCraft fan?
Well, I have to be exactly the right level of sick where I'm not too sick to sit down on my computer and play games, but I'm too sick to ladder. And that's a very good time. So, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll finish it. Maybe I won't.
I never played any of the StarCraft 1 or Brood War campaigns, and I only played the StarCraft 2 after that contesting, and I didn't watch any of the videos. So
and I bet No Regrets got a similar answer. You didn't play the campaigns, did you?
I didn't play Brood War. I played StarCraft 2 campaign.
You played them all?
All of them, yeah.
Well,
okay.
They were, I mean, like the campaigns were super like tropey, and it was not that interesting. And the Heart of the Swarm one was like, I don't know, man. I really didn't enjoy it that much. Like there was a lot of like, the story didn't.
For me personally, I watch movies if I want to watch cinematics and stories.
It was a lot of like, oh, I got the essence of my mutas, and now they do three glaives instead of 2, and I was like, oh, that's cool, man. But like, it didn't feel that fun to me, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I play this game fucking professionally. So I play like thousands and thousands of StarCraft games. Like another StarCraft game, it's not going to be that interesting.
Okay, this is a big question. This is one that I want answered here as well. So everyone focus real hard. Matrim, to No Regret, weasel out however you want. At some point, you have to keep your promise. What is your plan to eat the shoe? Do you cook it, cover it in cheese, or just man up and gulp it?
Well, if I were to eat the shoe.
What do you mean if you were to eat the shoe?
If I were to eat it.
What does this mean?
I wouldn't add cheese to it. That doesn't sound like a very smart idea. I'd probably boil some leather or something.
Like if you weren't to eat the shoe, your credibility, you said 100%, which for most people means 100%. Then you made a new category beyond the 100%, where you eat a shoe. If you don't do it,
category.
Like if you don't do it, what you need a new category. That's like, what would you do? Like, no one would believe.
I don't know.
Like you have vetoed from like predictions for life. Eat a chocolate shoe. I think that's your best way out.
Yeah, like I'll eat a chocolate shoe 100%, but like I don't understand what people want. If I had said if Rogue doesn't get out of this group, I'm gonna kill myself, I'd hope that people wouldn't fucking chase me to the ends of the earth to see that I kill myself. You know what I mean? Like it's obviously an exaggeration. I don't see why people.
Is it though?
But
I feel like it wasn't at the time.
In 2018, we had Rotterdam promise to go shirtless, and there's people still dealing with the disappointment of knowing that probably will never happen. And right around Christmas time,
well, he keeps re-promising it every home story.
Yeah, that's because he comes from the red light district of Amsterdam. He knows nothing else than to just tease a group of men. But like, I look at No Regret. I'm like, here's this kind-hearted leader in a house setting an example for a young generation of StarCraft 2 people. Yeah, promises something glorious, like a shoe-eating thing, you know. And I'm just like, what a brave guy. Then he hops in the chat immediately after losing and says,
"It wasn't even that brave, right?"
I mean, I'll do it. Like I said, I would do it during Memes and Dreams. Memes and Dreams hasn't even come yet, and people are like, "Where the fuck's the shoe?" Like, let's wait till then. If I don't do it, then fucking chase me. But don't chase me before I even do it. You know.
But
you said if
he just needs a fair chance to eat that shoe. Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. There's your answer. We'll do a couple more here.
But at the same time, like I said, if I had said I was going to kill myself if Rogue got out of his group,
I would hand you the sword.
I would hope that people wouldn't be chasing me to kill myself. You know what I mean?
I don't think they would.
Maybe don't say you'll kill yourself if you're wrong about something.
Sure, I agree. I'm just saying.
I think if you said I'll kill myself if Rogue doesn't advance from that group, we would have been like, hey, no, I think that's unreasonable.
Hey guys, everyone speaks in hyperbole quite often.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't do a double hyperbole, like deceiving people into thinking that the second one must be real, right? Like, because 100% is already a hyperbole, clearly, because it wasn't 100%. So if you make shoe eating 100%,
I mean, Rogue not getting out of a home story cup group of 7 people, like I would still, if you tell me now that Rogue is not going to get out of that group, I would still bet it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was more likely to be struck by lightning walking outside.
Oh, careful, man. That's a tough one to wish on yourself. Eating a shoe, I think you can recover from. Lightning, I heard, is pretty bad. A couple more questions. Personal question for Control, but I thought this was good because you guys can definitely answer this one as well. I know you've all got experience with this. Jeff, I've heard you express more than once that you'll sometimes bristle a bit, your word, when someone advises you on how to be a better caster. Twitch chat. How much do you think this is because you are, to some varying degree, a professional talker, and since everyone has some skin in the talking game, they may feel, probably subconsciously, able to teach you about your own craft? Whereas if you were an accountant, nobody would think to tell you how to best subtract a debit. As I say, purely personal question, but maybe you can tie it in StarCraft 2 and casting. Thanks. So the origins of this definitely comes... Here's actually the brutal, honest answer, which is not a popular thing to say. There's definitely ego involved, by the way. I think of myself as a very good commentator, and I think of myself as a good personality on the desk. So whenever, like, literally, like, Dark Butthole 6521 in the chat is like, hey, dude, this is actually funny. It's actually very topical. I just tweeted, like, I'm going to do stand-up this year. If you read the comments, a lot of it's super nice, but there's 4 people that are like, here's how you do stand-up. You need to record yourself, write down the jokes, go through iterations, talk about pace, and perform it over and over again until you've got it down to a science, and then you perform it. What does that guy do for a living? Probably.
Not stand-up.
Do you think it's stand-up comedy? Do you think I just got advice from a stand-up comedian? I'm going to go ahead and say no. So that's why, so there's like this, whenever people do that, there's this mixture of emotions that come in my head. But casting is even worse because I'm actually like an expert in my field. I'm one of the guys that is at most of the events and has been for a decade. So whenever someone's like, Jeff, last broadcast, I noticed that you guys were kind of starting to talk a little bit about, the ZVP matchup. And I noticed that you neglected to mention that if you pull your drones when you do a 14 pool, it actually increases the win rate by, I think it's like 26%. I don't know, I'm platinum, but in my games, it works every time. So if you could probably talk a little bit more about that, I think you'd have better credibility. And they say this, and I'm reading, and I'm like, oh. And Jeff, circa 2016, would talk about fornicating with their mom or something, or be like, shut the, I'd mute them or whatever. 2018, Jeff, he just ignores it. But it upsets me. Does any of that
Didn't you open the show with fornication joke with my mom?
No, I did not. I talked about having a rendezvous with your mom.
Okay.
I did not ever mention that there was
penetration. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, when you asked about it, I said that she's a lady to be respected, and she's very nice.
I agree.
I agree as well.
Yeah.
You guys have any experience with this thing? Or is it just me?
You mean my mom?
Oh.
No. Yeah, well...
I have experience with my mom.
You don't have to say that.
Yeah, but like I think when I've casted, like a lot of criticism has been valid. A lot of it is like I tend to talk too much or like my intonation. I know I'm not the hypest person, so I think it's a little different. Like I'll take some of those comments into account and be like, well, yeah, I am who I am. So yeah, I can try to like shift around.
I think that with
not
casting,
the best commentator, I'm aware. So.
With casting criticism, a lot of it, it's like you can't measure casting. Like you use the accounting thing as an example. You can measure accounting. You can be like, oh, you did this wrong. Like you could have gotten him more discounts on his taxes or some shit, right? So there's like a yes/no quality to that. Whereas if someone's giving you advice on casting, first off, you're definitely right. They are not a professional caster because we wouldn't do that to each other over Twitter or something. But like they probably just want you to cast more in a way that they like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, I mean, everyone has their own opinions on what they like and who's their favorite and what they want to hear and, the percentages of everything. And so it's just not really that helpful. Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't even really check that type of criticism
people,
almost ever anymore because it's It's like, okay, well, you like me or you don't like me. There definitely can be things where it's like, oh, you know, they might suggest something and you can look at that and be like, you know what? Yeah. And I think a lot of times if someone says something that like, sorry, I got one more little thing to say.
Oh, no,
if someone comments on something, and if I find that if I'm taking it a little bit personally, like if I get actually upset about something someone's saying, it's probably because there's a hint of truth in it. So I try to pay more attention if I actually have like a visceral reaction that I'm angry at. I don't read like a lot of what people say. I try to stay away from it.
We have to be careful with what you just said, though, Dan, because you're at one point validating everyone that's pissed you off. And I will say that while Dan's reaction is genuinely true,
I think most of the people who have said shit like are probably wrong. But anyways, that's my thought.
For me, it's how you say it. So when someone's like, "Hey, just something to think about," or if they're like, "I noticed this thing and maybe you can think about something else," I very rarely ever bristle at that. It's usually when people speak with absolutes and like down to me. They're like, "Hey, I noticed a lot of people really didn't like your commentary when you did this thing, and my friends were listening and they were like, that's a bad commentator. So anyways, here's what you should do differently." And I'm like, I stopped listening halfway through that and I'm just like, fuck off. You know, it's like, it's not real.
You're kind of, you're hit the head up. Like, now that I think about it, when someone makes a suggestion that isn't an absolute, it's totally different than when someone's like, you should have did this. Same with playing. Like when someone's like, why didn't you fucking counter this with this? And it's just like the dumbest fucking thing, right?
Yep.
Like, oh, it just triggers me more than anything. But if
you don't even play Protoss, you don't know the joys of Colossus versus Storm, which has been the last 10 years of my life. Anyways, thank you for the questions. That was good. Appreciate that, you guys. But Matt, I see this picture you have of No Regret. I don't know what the context is, but you do have to show it. I know you're working on something else.
Uh-oh. What picture?
I'm sure you've seen it. It's just too good not to be. Do you have it still, Matt? He's thinking about it.
He hasn't seen it because I just made it a few minutes ago.
You just made it. My God. How did we get this picture? No Regret. That's such a beautiful picture that you did that, by the way.
Absolutely beautiful. All right, now you guys can stop bothering me about eating my shoe. Okay, I ate it.
Wonderful.
Can you, when you do eat it, can you wear this fish? I mean, just...
No.
Fishnet tank top.
I can clearly see the nipples. I don't know if I don't know if I get banned for that.
Well, there's only one way to find out, I guess, right?
I suppose.
Thank you to everyone for asking those questions. They were really nice. That was one of the best discussions we've ever had. A question. I do apologize for cutting it off, but it was this is one of our longest episodes.
Well, we could go on and on with that. It's a very opinionated question. People have a lot of different views on.
It's good. I thought it was a great talk.
I had to add on that question, I guess, like from what Dan was saying, right? And how it's kind of like not an exact science, like finance might be, but you still like get feedback and like validation. Like for in you guys' case, for example, like you're at the top of the StarCraft food chain as far as casters go. So most people obviously like you a lot. So it's very easy to brush off comments that are the complete opposite of that, if that makes sense, because you're measuring it not in like it's abstracts, but you can still measure it, and like your success is a measure of validation on that front already, right? So you can dismiss a lot of negative feedback easily, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are awesome. Cats, all right, you guys are really, really wonderful. I'm going to close out the show and we'll give some shout outs, and that'll be it. That's episode 37. So first and foremost, I want to thank our Patreon supporters. Those are the people that some of those questions came from, but one of the most amazing things that I see so often every time we do this is a lot of these names remain the same. You guys have supported us throughout the entire year, and now we're in year 2, which is just, please know that that's incredible, and we really, really appreciate it. So here are a lot of those people at just mega big tiers. And then we also have the $10 tier where there's just a horde of people. And again, I recognize these names. I see them in the chat. You guys reach out to us and talk about the podcast and the MP3s that you're downloading, the YouTube content. So just, you're amazing. Thank you all. We cannot do it without you. And if you don't see your name on this list, that's because you're not a Patreon supporter. So I want you to kind of take a look in the mirror and ask yourself.
Or you support it less than $10 tier.
Or you support less. Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Good save. I would have got yelled at by a bunch of people. Consider supporting us. We want to build the show, of course, and grow it to places. And if we can get to that $3,000 tier, then we would like to start giving money to streams that stream StarCraft. And of course, pay our guests more and that kind of stuff, and pay ourselves more. That's kind of what we're building to. That is it, by the way. That there's no other hidden agenda.
We gained a Patreon supporter during the show.
Yep,
nice.
one.
Well, hey, thank you very much. And they're talking in the chat right now. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. How does one support? New here? You just click on the Patreon right there, and it'll take your money, however much you want to give, and we appreciate all you guys doing that. Future of the show, real quick. We're plugging along. We don't have any plans for any gaps. If one of us misses it, we'll keep it going. But Cobra and I were talking about doing some extra content. We really enjoyed that show match we did with Base Trade, but we've got some other ideas floating around, so we're gonna do some other stuff. You can also support us through Matcherino, like I talked about at the beginning, but what I forgot to mention was we have a bunch of merchandise on there, and Cobra and crew do a great job making some pretty cool stuff. So if you buy any of these things, a portion like that goes to us as well. It's a good way to support it. The Is It Though mug and stuff like that. So very, very cool. Consider it for gifts, that kind of thing. And I think that is all I want to mention for now. We already gave love to our sponsors, so I'm not going to do it again other than that stuff. Let's do the shout-outs, okay? So Katz, at this point, is a darn near regular on the show, and we love having him on here. Great opinions. You're awesome. You're also doing a whole bunch of stuff, so could you take a moment to tell us where these people can follow you and what you're up to?
You can follow me on Twitter at RootCats. And you can follow my stream at twitch.tv/RootCats. I actually have been like pretty sick for the last few days, but I'm looking to resume the breakdown. There's already a few episodes of this new season. The latest one being Kelasur. The next one is likely to be Marine Lord. And yeah, cool. I mean, check out our website, rootforroot.com. We actually got a bunch of new writers. One of them, Saxi, that we talked about. Like, he's a journalist from Australia. Fifth, and Mina, who was featured on the show actually last time for her like really cool graphics and statistics, and we have Topher as well. So we have a really good team, and in the last 2 weeks we pushed out like 7 articles, which is a record for us.
Awesome.
So we're doing really good on that regard. That's rootforroot.com. And yeah, I'm actually doing a donation drive on my stream to get a puppy. So if you want to help me get a puppy.
Oh. What kind of dog are you thinking?
Yorkie.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Yeah, I already picked her. Yeah, she looks awesome.
Very cool.
You can see that? What does that mean?
I like it.
What? Yeah,
what?
Awesome.
No.
What do you mean you can
see
that?
You have a Yorkie. It's a cute little dog.
Yeah.
And I think if you use
well, you're a stylish guy too. You wear scarves during the show.
It's not a scarf.
Like,
it's an
Yorkies are stylish? Okay.
You're a fancy guy.
No, they definitely are. It's like a dog that you can carry around and stuff, you know?
Yeah, they're wonderful.
It's like a fashion accessory for some people.
Oh, really? No.
Definitely some people buy dogs as fashion accessories.
Yeah, not me.
Well, Dan's accusing you of doing that.
Surely, yeah.
Thank you, Katz. We'll definitely have you back on. Mr. No Regret, Jake Umpleby, a name I will always take quite pleasure in saying. You're great. We love having you on the show. Thank you for coming on. What are you up to? What are you scheduling? What can people check out?
I mean, I do all the stuff in the house in Korea, so any of that stuff is usually me. I stream on twitch.tv/noregret_, and my Twitter is rootnoregret. That's about it.
Wow. Memes and Dreams, when are you thinking?
Oh yeah, Memes and Dreams. Oh, we have tons of
Lifeline.
We want to plug them. Yeah, we've got Lifeline and Memes and Dreams. I mean, I come back to Korea February 14th, and after I'm back, we'll have more dates and times. But
you're flying on Valentine's Day?
We've actually been having meetings for Lifeline. Like,
oh yeah, Lifeline tournament's gonna be so.
I can't wait for that. That's the greatest idea ever.
We've been like,
totally not.
It was born here.
What's the idea?
We've been polishing it out.
It was born on the show. The one time you weren't here, Jeff.
That's true.
I believe it.
Like 3 weeks ago, or no,
you'll love it.
3 months ago or some shit.
It's gonna be.
No one's gonna talk about what it is. I'm trying to get you guys advertised.
It's kind of complicated. You want to talk about it, Katz?
I think it's kind of complicated. It's long.
Hang on.
The idea.
Hang on, guys. If Katz thinks it's complicated, we're gonna hold off on that. We're gonna.
Yeah, it'll be a long. We're at like.
It's a long show, right?
Like we have a long document on it now.
Holy cow! Okay. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be a show without our awesome co-host, Mr. Artosis. Artosis, you got a whole bunch of stuff coming up, and maybe your own stream. You want to talk about it?
So much. Yes. So this is going to be one of the busier periods of the year. Non-stop GSL and ASL. I have just so much work coming up, like today, tomorrow, the next day, just GSL and ASL all over the place. So definitely tune in tonight. As far as my streams, keeping a very steady schedule, and I will be adding StarCraft 2 streaming, and I've been playing a bunch lately, and it's taken a little bit to, wear off the rust because I've been playing so much StarCraft 1 for the past year, but the rust is almost off, and I know what I need left to fix. So I think within 1 week, I'll be streaming some StarCraft 2 as well. So that'll be fun when I feel like I'm at a reasonable level and it's not just stupid shit where it's like, oh, I forgot how to warp in units. Yeah, and other than that, just very happy with the Pylon Show, and not going to miss any episodes for a very long time going forward. So, yeah, good stuff.
That is awesome. This was a great episode. For me, tomorrow I leave for Las Vegas. I'll be commentating the Las Vegas Open, which is the world's biggest Warhammer 40,000 tournament to ever happen.
Nice.
The tournament has like 700 or 800 people signed up. It's going to be absolutely massive. All the best players in the world. They're competing for, in the Warhammer world, a good cash prize. I think it's like $2,000 or $3,000 for first place, which again, not a big deal for us, but for that world is gigantic. And I'll be on the channel twitch.tv/Warhammer. I'm actually hired by Games Workshop, which is, in that world, the Blizzard, if you can believe it. So I'm working alongside my two favorite companies and the two games I love the most. It's a huge honor. I've been writing articles, codex reviews, that kind of stuff. You can check all of that out on my Twitter, iNcontroLTV, my YouTube, iNcontroLTV. And then I usually talk about it on my channel. If you like Warhammer, I'm always down to talk about it. It's just something that's very close to me. Just like StarCraft. It happened at exactly the same time. I was 12 years old. Other than that, I will be back home and streaming next week. And we'll keep on going with the show and all that wonderful stuff. I want to make one mention. If you hit !Team USA in the chat, that brings up a GoFundMe for Team USA. They're trying to raise money. I'm on that team. For Warhammer to get ourselves over to Serbia in, I think it's August, for the World Championship. And it's these guys need help. It's expensive to travel, and that's where it's all going. It's just for flights and hotel to get ourselves over there and mitigate the cost. So if you have some disposable income and you want to support that kind of thing, please consider it. That is exactly where it would go. And that's that. So I want to wrap up the show by also just saying thank you to our producer, Cobra, Alessander, and everyone else that makes the show possible. It's pretty amazing every time the show comes together. Look, there's Matt. Now get back in your dungeon. No, I'm just kidding. But he actually did. Just thank you to all those guys. Great show. Really appreciate it. I think that's it. Matt, did I forget anything?
Nope, we're good.
We're all good. Okay. Guys, have a
Thanks
great day.
Watching, everyone.
Yep, 24 hours for the YouTube VOD. We'll it'll be there. If you can't wait, you can sub to my channel. That also supports me as well. All right, we'll see you guys later. Goodbye.